Try and actually put the word cunt in the title. Oh. It's funny because like a lot of people are gonna see this page and gonna be like, "What the fuck are you doing, boy? Where's my free BBC program? Politics Live. You normally stream that." I am. I've reflected a little bit. Okay, I lied. I got stoned, and I thought I shall have a bit of a laugh today because it's Monday, and it's been 13 years we still got a Tory government. It's like, what the fuck? And to be fair, I could probably do with a fucking fat spliff, literally, before I watch this garbage. Fucking hell. Tory Britain. I never thought I'd say them words ever again after Margaret Thatcher. Wow. I should make a mini documentary, literally, on how fucking insane Britain has been since the 80s. Like a proper, in-depth, chronological fuckeries about this country. I love that shit. You know, people told me, this is not a joke, people said to me, Brexit, it's a mad thing. I was like, yeah, true that. And then they said to me, the Tories are going to win the next election. I said, are you mad? Have you seen a map of the United Kingdom? It's a bit mad. This is the thing. If you look at the UK and how we vote and all that mad shit, we're done for. Unless we vote for Labour in the next election en masse, which is going to be fucking extremely hard. To be quite frank, Labour is shite. They are. I mean, I like Jeremy Corbyn, I'm not going to lie. He was a muppet, but I still liked him. Because he wanted the working class, the socialists, as our right-wing fellows call us, to be, I don't know, better off. You know, like getting fucking paid a living wage. The fact that you get called, the fact, like, if you read that in a book, in a history book, and someone said living wage, I'd be pretty miffed at that. It's like being called a fucking pleb, innit? Anyway, should we get on with fucking South Park? Oh shit, no, it's not South Park, is it? What's it called again? Politics Live. Sorry, me.
Can Rishi Sunak fix the Brexit deal in Northern Ireland? Why is childcare so expensive? And should Jeremy Corbyn be welcome in Keir Starmer's Labour Party? This is Politics Live. Joining me today, Conservative MP Matt Warman, Jenny Chapman from Labour's Shadow Cabinet, The Guardian's Raphael Bear and Madeline Grant from The Daily Telegraph. On the programme.
We are by no means done. There is no deal that is done. There's work to do, and that's what we will set about doing.
Have Rishi Sunak's backbenchers blocked him from striking a new Brexit deal with the EU?
I don't think he's ever been as keen a Brexiteer as I was. I mean, I spoke all over the country to try and persuade people to vote in the referendum, and I'm not sure the Prime Minister did.
Women aren't worth it. They don't care if we're in the workforce or not. They say they're progressing, but really they just want us at home, cooking and cleaning.
We'll speak to this mother who says the cost of childcare priced her out of a job.
Jeremy Corbyn will not stand for Labour at the next general election as a Labour Party candidate.
There's no appeal, there's no system. I've just been told I'm suspended. I think that's a pretty poor way of treating people, quite honestly.
Keir Starmer says he doesn't want his old boss, Jeremy Corbyn, to be a Labour MP. Let's start with this story in the Sunday Times. The headline, refugee cap plans floated by ministers. This is the story in the paper that the government is considering plans to give powers to Parliament to set an annual cap on the number of refugees as opposed.
I miss the good old days of not actually giving a fuck about this show. Like right now. Okay. A lot of people watch the fact that I stream this shit, and I do appreciate the fact that you do that, right? Because you're all politically minded. But be aware why I stream what I stream. It's because you're watching propaganda of like it's not even propaganda, it's just fucking weirdness. Like we live in Britain, last time I checked, right? England, beautiful country that it is, blessed by God himself, just so you know. Anywho, we live in England, and our right wing papers, and it's like the BBC is like, let's pick a mad story for you to feast upon. Do you understand how we got Brexit? Do you understand how we got, I don't know, the Iraq War? The fact that these fucking mad entities, as I call them, literally the fourth branch of the government, if you don't know what that is, I hope you do, is mad. They pick the most insane topics that you will ever come across, like question time. We will spend 20 minutes on question time, whether some twat's a twat, like, I know, oh, you're a twat, 20 minutes. And then you will spend 5 minutes about serious issues. It's the same with these political shows that I provide you for free because I'm a very nice man. Are fucking mental. Batshit crazy. Just listen to them very slowly. That's all I ask when you watch my streams. Listen very, very slowly to what they say. It's a bit creepy. She's fucking creepy. It's like watching Fox News, but an English version, if you know what I mean. Anyway, shall we keep going? Might as well. Boring cunt. Like, in fact, people used to say to me, don't talk over your shows. I'm sorry. It's free. It's my YouTube channel. I didn't ask you to come here, to be quite honest. So I can talk whenever the fuck I want.
To looking at general net migration. The Minister, Robert Jenrick, says there should be an honest debate. Each year, many local authorities are at breaking point in terms of providing resources. So yeah,
there you go. Let's talk about immigration again. It's the most boring xenophobic topic ever in Britain. Can anybody remember the last time we played the Germans when it came to football? I just want to know because it's funny. Every time we play the Germans at football, you would literally think it's World War II. Because we have the most retarded press. And the BBC do the exact same shit. They literally suck the government's cock because who funds the fucking BBC, ladies and gentlemen? Let's be quite frank. The fucking government. We are forced by law to listen to the government talk shit. This is the same thing as, I don't know, RTTV or whatever the fuck's on Russia Today. Right? It's state sponsored propaganda. It's madness. And we think because we're British, nah. That's what British people think. We should never be persuaded by a bunch of Nazis. Really? Are you fucking sure about your assumption of our quality of news? These fuckers got sued by fucking, what's that guy's name? God bless him. He's a Christian. A mad Christian. But they bombed his house with a fucking video screen. And he sued the BBC. Cliff Richard, there we go. Thank you very much, my brain. Catching up. Anywho, yeah, Cliff Richard literally sued the BBC. You know why? Because the BBC called him a paedophile live on air and had a helicopter over his house. Rich Clifford, Rich Clifford's laying in bed thinking, what are you fuck are you doing? Get away from my house. Just saying. And a Cliff Richard won. How many times have you seen BBC correspondents literally lie I watched the video the other day. Actually, it was so fucking hilarious. Emily, fucking whatever the stupid Emily Watkins. I don't know what the fucking stupid name is. Anyway, she used to be on like the flagship BBC program Newsnight, which is fucking garbage. In case you didn't know that already. Anywho, so she used to do that. Maitness, whatever. Anyway, so she made a big speech about working at the BBC and how the BBC's been infiltrated by Number 10. I'm like, bro, you were sucking that dick for a long time. I'm just saying. Are you telling me that you didn't notice that your boss left his post? This is not a joke, by the way. This is literal facts. The guy who used to run Newsnight, which is her fucking boss, what was his next job? Oh, I don't know. Maybe he went to work for the Telegraph. Maybe he went to work for the Times. No. You know where he ended up? Communications officer for Theresa May. Can you make that shit up? No. But you know how many people watch the news and pay attention? Not many. And that's why you end up with shitty fucking governments. Like the Tories. I'm not saying Keir Starmer's much better, but oh my fucking god. The standards of this country have dropped pretty fucking drastically low. And you wonder why people are on strike. If you don't vote, you get shitty governments. Point out the fucking obvious, I suppose.
Opening question to the panel is, should there be a cap on the number of refugees set by Parliament for the UK every year? Matt?
Well, I think the short answer ultimately is yes for me, and that's largely because I think we need a system for immigration that takes into account all the different channels, and we need an honest conversation about it. Now, that means both
We need an honest conversation with the racists. That's what he's just said. I don't know why anyone doesn't notice that shit. It's like black and white to me. When a white person says we need an honest conversation, about what exactly? 87% of the United Kingdom is white, the last time I checked. We need an honest conversation about refugees. What, like 5 people? Do you know how many people live in the United Kingdom? 67 million people. Have a nice day. And it's mad because most of the country is run by people from Scotland, which are the least popular person on the planet. Well, sorry, not planet. United Kingdom. Do you know they have a disproportionate amount of MPs in the House of Commons? 54, technically 57 on a good day. But yeah, 57 MPs are represented by Scotland. Let that sink in very slowly, if you can do the math. So when Scottish people say they have no effect on English politics, they definitely do. And this is the mad part about Brexit. Oh, well, not Brexit, sorry. The whole independence referendum shit. It's like, since 1997, the SNP has literally not allowed English voters to win an election who vote Labour. Like, if you can actually count, which I know a lot of people can't count, which is shockingly bad, but there's this thing, and it's called a fucking map of the United Kingdom, and there's this other thing that you stick on top of it called the electoral map. Look at that thing. It's pretty interesting. Why do we have a Tory government? SNP. Now that, motherfucker, is facts. Whatever he says next, SNP, thank you for the Tories for 13 years. I mean, fuck me. The Lib Dems. Jesus Christ. I can't even be asked. I can't be asked. And people tell me I'm wrong about my predictions of politics. Pretty good at this shit, bro. Pretty good. Anyway, should we continue with the propaganda?
Sensible, safe routes for people to apply, as we've had for Ukraine, Afghanistan, for instance, but also perhaps beyond. But it also means a sensible conversation about the overall numbers, and that might also allow us to process applications a lot faster as well.
You've been in power for 13 years. Like, how fast did you want to go, mate? Like, let's be real here. 13 years. Can I just ask you some basic questions as a taxpayer? Or like, let's pretend I'm an obtuse twat. I'm non-political. I'm asexual when it comes to politics, right? How long have you been in government for, you fucking clowns? Has my railway system got better that I pay tax for? Nope. Shite. In fact, I got jealous when I went to the Netherlands. So, fail. Can I actually go to hospital on time? No. Crap. And that's before COVID, before you start like giving me caveats. It was shit before COVID. Just saying. Is your government completely crap? Yes, but that's just my opinion. Did you crash the economy? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you fucking did. I'm pretty sure all them things require you to be voted out of office at some point after 13 years. I've been saying this for so fucking long, honestly. It feels like I'm living in the 1980s. And Margaret Thatcher is a transgender male with a fucking wig or some shit. I don't know. It's mad. It's like it's another dimension of fucking stupidness. Watching Tories be Tories and then thinking, does anybody remember putting Margaret Thatcher on a bonfire as a child? Or was that just me? I'm so confused. Margaret Thatcher, we used to put it on a bonfire, right? Did anybody else? Or, you know. Oh, wait. Tory. What are you going to say, mate?
Right, well, the overall numbers, record numbers on net migration, 504,000 for the most recent year.
Same government who said Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. Imagine that. Margaret Thatcher called Nelson Mandela a terrorist.
Here, 73.
Let's vote for the Tories. They're reasonable people. Are you fucking mad?
1,000. On top of that, asylum applications.
You know what? This is the first video I've done in a long time. I'm just going to talk over the entire show. And for all the people who want to whine in the comments, fuck you.
Including those arriving in small boats over the English Channel. I think that was the figure to September last year. Should there be a cap on the number of refugees?
Well, I'm all for the honest conversation bit, but I think this cap stuff, people just see straight through.
Imagine that. They'd probably try and make a law that says you can't hunt Tories. Remember all the shit about fox hunting? Remember when literally this? I mean, this is the thing. I stream on YouTube, granted, and I'm stoned most of the time when I watch this shit because you'd have to be fucking honest. So yeah. Anyway, these people are fucking crazy, and the Tories are they're like Republicans from America, but English. Which makes it even worse because I think, wow, you've literally debased yourself at this point. I mean, think of it. We are the country that gave the world Monty Python. And we have to put it with these fucking clowns. No wonder people are going on strike. It's terrible. Terrible. We've got the worst caliber of politicians I've ever seen. Ever. I mean, they're all literally shit, though. Like, none of them got a clue. Like, look at her face. She looks like a woman that could literally tell you what HTML actually means without Googling it. Like, look at her face. These people run our country. She has no idea what HTML actually means. I feel sorry for, like, the people of the planet at this point. Look at her. She's supposed to be in the government. She's a fucking clown.
Through it. You know what?
I've met smarter people who literally wash dishes than this bitch. For real. I've literally met people who literally clean toilets who have more common sense than what she's about to say next. No jokes. And somehow she's a politician. And how much money does she get again? How much money? 80 grand a year. 80 grand. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? And nurses go on strike. And this bitch is like,
What they really need to do
Crack it.
is figure out why it is that fewer than half the number of asylum decisions are being made now than were 5 years ago. So you can put whatever cap on it you want. If you're not actually getting through the caseload that you already have, you're still going to end up with more and more people living in unregulated accommodation.
Bro, that's a great, you know what, that sounds great, unregulated accommodation. You made it unregulated, you fucking tramps, in the first place, the government. You made the system so stupidly fucking retarded anyway. Do you know why? Because you don't build council houses. I'm sorry for anybody who just joined the program. This is not Politics Lives. It literally says, with some zest. Literally. These fucking clowns, honestly. Well, how to fix Britain's fucking building houses problem? Here's a tip. Build houses for councils. Do that. Just build houses for people who are fucking poor. Why is this mad fascination with every twat politician since Margaret Thatcher? You need to understand the fucking point here, ladies and gentlemen. She's a fucking Tory. The whole mantra of buying your own house was invented by Margaret Thatcher. And these fucking ridiculous idiots keep saying the same shit. We need to build more houses. What, for the banks? Why do you think councils have no money? If you're paying a bank, it doesn't go to the council now, does it? You dumb cunt. Do you understand? Can anybody do, like, basic math? Anybody? If you're giving your rent to your government, which you actually pay taxes for, or do you want to give it to a private corporation called a bank that doesn't print money, it collects it? Just saying. So all the rent that you would pay to your local council to, I don't know, empty your fucking bins. Yes, I am literally pointing out the fucking obvious here. Or do you want to give it to a bank? And people are like, why is my council tax going up? I know, because you privatize everything. Like, there's no money. Like, if you're a human being, right, and you've got a wallet with a tenner in it, right? Oh, I've got £10. Okay, good, right? So, what do you want to spend your £10 on, Mr. Human Being? Healthcare, some of the stupid shit, defense. Okay, healthcare, defense. So you can take my money for them two things: healthcare and defense. Okay, I want a nice street, council tax, empty me bins, whatever. What else you pay tax for? I don't know. It's just tax. Okay, so we've got three basic ones, right? You pay for your existence, which is health, clearly. And then you pay for your nice house, council tax, and you pay for defense, even though I said that the wrong way. But there's three, right? What else you pay tax for? Can anybody explain to me the other ones, what you pay tax for? Hopefully. Because I don't see any other fucking ones. You see, now if you pay attention to the Tories, they say you can't tax your way out of recession. That there is what you call a misnomer. Tax is a mechanism, right? So the idea of the Tories saying to you, you can't tax your way out of shit, it's like a dog whistle for a racist. Somebody who literally is fucking stupid would go, that makes sense. I will join that cause, kind of shit. But actually, for the people who are actually paying attention, that just means, no, you're literally thick at this point. Fucking mad. I mean, what the fuck? People are so oblivious to, like, the fucking obvious shit in the news, but then don't pay attention to it. Like this bitch. And she's a Labour. She's a Labour. A Labour. Sounds really weird to say that. But yeah, she's in the Labour Party. But she's literally saying Tory bollocks. Like literally, she's just talking about Tories in her brain, but then she sits on here with a red jacket. Why she got a red jacket on? I want to support Labour because Labour's red. Do you think these people don't do that weird shit? I've seen people in back of cars and documentaries literally like Muppets, but we elect these fucking clowns. I would rather, honestly, I would go to any business in Liverpool. The cleaner will literally have more clue than the people we elect, and I don't know why we elect them. Liz Trust, I mean, come on. That is a fucking catastrophe. Imagine your national newspaper, taking the utter piss, comparing you to a fucking lettuce. I mean, that's grievous bodily harm, that is. I'm just saying. You should get a fine. Liz Truss was our prime minister, and she was a joke. And she was a Tory. With the most economic, weirdest plan ever. Let's give all the rich people money and see if they want to give it to poor people. I'm sorry. When I read the Bible, it said someone killed Jesus. Or am I just reading the fucking Bible wrong right now? I don't know. Capitalism is a great thing, and there's something called a free market if you're rich. And then when the free market said no, all the Tories just shut up. You don't hear them going, hey, the free market's a great place, innit? Okay, first of all, what made you think that shit was free? I don't know. People believe in capitalism as if it's like the best thing since sliced bread. I'm just saying. I'm not a communist like some of them Nevada fucking watching clowns. But it is funny when you see people say like the free market on the right. I mean, even Marx didn't say capitalism was bad. He just said it would eat its own ass, which was an observation. I, you know, that's another thing as well. A lot of leftists that I actually have to, unfortunately, fucking watch. Like Owen Jones. I watched this video the other day complaining, like literally crying over Keir Starmer. Crying like he's just getting fucked in his ass by fucking Keir Starmer or some shit. Yeah. And just so you know, spoiler alert, Owen Jones is gay. So he probably likes it in the ass. I don't know if he likes older men though. Jeremy Corbyn. Maybe he wants to fucking fuck his cucumber. I don't know. Point being is, anyway, Owen Jones is one of these leftist fucking retards who's probably young enough to be my son, which is a creepy thought in of itself. But yeah, Owen Jones writes for The Guardian. What a prat. Honestly, what a fucking prat. The guy is a fucking... Oh. Okay, tangent time. I fucking hate the internet. Social media, anyway. Because of Owen Jones, or people like him. Anyway, because they pretend to be like actual fucking people who observe the news, and they're literally as bad as the people they criticize. They're so buffoonish. He was literally castigating Keir Starmer the other day and Navarro media because Keir Starmer said, fuck Jeremy Corbyn, we want to win an election. Literally what he said in English, if you was paying attention in a speech. If you literally watch anything on the left, political wise, like, I don't know, Navarro media or Owen Jones, for instance, who was supposedly on the left, you would literally think they were the what's their fucking stupid name? Neanderthals, the fucking Tory weirdo. Anyway, Nyan, oh fuck. Anyway, hair, white lady, white hair. Neanderthals. Anyway, she's a fucking clown. But the left is like trying to eat its own ass. And if you watched my video from yesterday, Laura Koonsberg, and this is why it's so weird, right? Laura Koonsberg was on the same shit as like she was saying. Like, oh, is this New Labour? Like, hold on, was New Labour a bad thing? The only thing New Labour did anything shit about was invade Iraq. Like, literally. That's the only thing Tony Blair ever got wrong. Invaded Iraq. If you were to scrub that from his history, He's a pretty impressive prime minister, and I don't like the guy, clearly, because of Iraq. But if you took that out of his prime minister, being prime minister, if you can ignore his war crimes, which is pretty hard, but I'm going to try and suggest you do for a moment, you take that out. Tony Blair was one of our best prime ministers in terms of like fixing the country. No fucking jokes. Like we had Thatcher. I think that's what I'm saying. I think like British people forgot like we had Tories already, and they were fucking crap then. What made you think they were going to get any better? I don't know. But anyway, Gordon Brown was a clown, and he lost the election. And then we got fucking Tory madness, and we've had Tory madness ever since. These fuckers aren't. We can't even kick them out. They just keep coming back like a fucking STD. The only reason why they won the other election because of fucking Brexit, which is the other stupid fucking cunt's fault in the first place. You're even asking the stupid questions. You want to leave the fucking EU? Do you want you do you want to leave the European Union, Great Britain? I'm sorry. Has nobody paid attention to the fact that like one of our greatest TV shows was called Dad's Army, and you're asking people, do you want to leave the EU? I could have told you that, mate. I pay me 160 grand a year, David Cameron, as your advisor. And when you ask me, do you think it's a good idea to hold a vote, a referendum about fucking leaving the EU to English people? Are you taking the honestly piss at this point? Nope. Because I'm David Cameron and I'm a twat and I fuck pigs. Apparently. Allegedly. I don't want to get sued. Funny though, when how it works. I actually voted to leave the EU just because it was fucking hilarious to do so. I've got a bad sense of humour. What can I say? Anywho, should we get back to these twats talking bollocks? By the way, when they talk bollocks, just remember one crucial thing: you pay their wages.
Including children, and actually failing to deal with the underlying problem that you've got. And I just, I think people can see through all this stuff from the government now. They like to throw out this, we're going to do a cap on this, we're going to be tough on the other. And actually nothing changes, nothing gets done. We need a complete change of approach to this. Labour's put forward a plan on how we would deal with things like this.
I've got a plan, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a plan. How about we just fucking elect better people? I don't want a plan. Have you ever seen it in the Jeremy Corbyn documentary? Fucking hilarious. That's why I can't believe anything these people say, because they're all fucking liars. But would I rather have hair or Tories? Definitely hair. I can't stand Tories. Not because they're shit. They are completely shit. I don't like Tories. I don't like their idea of economics is pretty creepy. You do understand the economics. I hope, like, it's mad because people on the right and on the left, I mean, to be fair, right, both sides are a bit creepy at the moment because of social media. But if you look at the right, they're a bit mad when it comes to economic ideas. Where the people on the left also, I would think they're ideologically a bit too mental at the same time. Like, I watched a video with that girl from Novara Media. What's her name? Oh, God. The black lady. I don't know her name. Sashka? Ashka? Whatever. Anywho. She was like, I'm a communist, you idiot. I'm just like, wow. That's pretty deep. Saying that in like a capitalist. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's mad the way people who are so up their own arse and entitled complain about other weird shit. Like, she's complaining about like social shit. But she was raised in a capitalist society. But then she's going, I'm a communist, you idiot. Or whatever. I think it was to Pierce Morgan or someone. She said it to somebody anyway. But she's like, I'm a fucking communist, you idiot. I was like, but you know. I think you are. But you know. Are you? Really? You're just pretending like you're transgender when it comes to economics. It just makes no sense. She grew up in a capitalist society and she says, I'm a communist. In Okay, show me how you're a communist and I will believe you. You know, like science, isn't that what we ask from science? Like, okay, does gravity exist? Jump up and down and then show me that gravity doesn't exist. I'll be more than happy. Yeah. Are you a communist? I don't see you living in a fucking commune. I see you sitting on fucking the internet, which is run by capitalist society. Just saying. Well, you can't tell me to opt out. She's just not fucking content in it. That's what I'm saying. People who like cry about that shit is funny. On the left. And then they want to try and kill the left when we get with Tories. We're equally strange. They're the most xenophobic, racist. I mean, have you seen American TV lately? Or British TV? Like, the only thing we talk about is immigration. Not the fact that our healthcare system is shit. Or, well, basically everything's shit in this country. No, let's blame the immigrants. Apparently, 5 of them on a rubber dinghy. Yeah. Why do we have an army? If we like think about it, right? How stupid is this? Why do we have so much money spent on our army and nuclear weapons, and you can't stop a bunch of guys on a fucking dinghy? Hello, I'm just I like that's shocking. It literally is. We spend more on Russia on our defense, and you can't stop a bunch of guys in a fucking dinghy coming from France. Didn't we invade France in like the 1700s or some shit? Once upon a time, like it's right there. It's called Calais. Don't we own Calais? Did we not own that? Do we not own Calais? No. I, you know what we should do? Blow up France, invade it again. Liz Truss can be king of France.
The small boat crossings. And it involves having grown-up conversations with our nearest neighbours, getting to grips with the root causes of all this, having the National Crime Agency with a focus on dealing with the gangs and the people who are trafficking and making money out of this misery. And we think that's a much more sensible approach.
I think we should just invade France. It would be way quicker. They don't care. I mean, Hitler had the right idea, right? He just walked in, and the French were like, "Oh, hello." See, now I'm xenophobic and racist, and you wonder why people voted for Brexit.
And so you'd have no targets and no caps at
Harry's a bitch, innit?
all on either end of this.
We all want the number of people needing to claim asylum to go down. Of course we do. So that should be the aim.
Yeah, fuck them. We want it to go down. Because we're trying to be like, not as racist as the Tories. Of course we want to go down. Fucking niggers. Did I say that out loud? My bad. As a black person, I disapprove of that message. Point being is, fucking hilarious. Listen to her, she sounds like a Tory. There's no difference between them both.
This is not about having an open door, but please deal with the causes and the real issues here, and stop treating the public like.
Yeah, it's called war. Yeah, let's deal with the fundamental issues. Why have we got loads of people who want to come to Britain? Don't know. Well, first of all, everyone speaks English, which is a plus, clearly. I mean, most spoken, well, other than Mandarin, it's the most spoken language on the planet. English. Unless you're American, they don't speak English, they speak American. Just want to clarify that for my American viewers who can't spell the word colour correctly. Anywho, these motherfuckers are crazy. Because it's about shit and they're all Tories. Neoliberalism is a mad thing when it comes to politics. Because a lot of people today still think there's a left and a right. No, there's just neoliberalism. All these people that you see on your TV are neoliberals. Can you imagine calling Ed Miliband a Marxist? But that's what they called him. They called him Red Ed. They couldn't attack him because he was Jewish. But they attacked him because he's a Marxist. And said his dad was a spy for the Russians. And what did they do to Jeremy Corbyn? They told people that Jeremy Corbyn was a spy for the Russians. McCarthyism, anybody? Or am I just not paying attention to the fact that our newspapers and our fucking things are just drilled with right wing dribble? I'm so glad Fox News is getting like sued for like 3 billion, 4 billion. Rupert Murdoch, in case you don't know who the fuck that is. He's one of the main perpetrators on our fucking stupid fucking country. And Tony Blair sucked his dick. Yes, I know. Don't tell me. Before you go in the comment section, well, Tony Blair was in bed with Rupert Murdoch. Yes, he was. For sure. Our media is mad. Mad, mad. And people don't understand that influences a vast swathe of people. Remember, you could used to open the Sun newspaper, see a bit of tits. Just saying.
Idiots and saying we're going to put a cap on it because they don't achieve these things. Having a cap doesn't change anything.
I'll come to Rafa in just a moment. I mean, the tens of thousands, of course, on net migration.
Putting a cap on shit doesn't change anything. I don't know. I like the idea of a cap on fucking banker bonuses. Just saying. Tax the rich. I don't understand why people are also conflicted about this scenario of taxing the rich. Maybe everyone thinks they're rich or some shit in England. You're not. I'm just gonna point out, like, you're not rich. The CEO of major companies in the UK earn like 500 times more than the people who clean their toilets. And the people who clean their toilets pay more tax. And you think that's a normal scenario? Like, it's bizarre. Literally, it's bizarre. To think that, like, you can, like, when I was growing up, rich was like £1,000. I was like, shit, that's a lot of money, right? Just saying, like, it was anyway. And then you think like, shit, you got £10,000. Wow. 40, shit, 70. Huh. I got billions, bitch, and I don't pay no tax. Oh, now we got issues, big ones.
Famously,
There's more billionaires than ever in the fucking history of humanity. There's more billionaires than ever. I know the funny part is, in the 50s, I think, well, hold on, I think it's 50s or whatever. America had a tax rate of, what's it, 70% or some shit on upper earning. If you earned over, I don't even know what the fuck it was. I think it's over 100k or something. Anyway, if you earned over a certain amount, you get taxed like 78%. You know, that was the best time economically for the United States. When we had higher taxes, if you look back, even in the UK, if you look back, if you tax the rich and give it to poor people, guess what happens? Poor people spend money. Just saying. But now, the rich people, like, it's the poor people's fault that they've got no money. Get a job. Well, how are you supposed to get a job if everybody's broke? You need to give money in order to keep money. That's literally capitalism. But if all the rich people hoard their money and don't give it to anybody else, that's fascism or communism, but very slowly, like cancer.
has never been hit, has it?
No, it hasn't. But I think that Jenny went through a very long-winded way of not answering the question.
No, that's the question.
You have to be able to say what is the number. No, you have to be able to say what is the number that you want that system that you're talking about functioning well. What should it be coping with? What's a sensible target? That has to be part of this, because until it is, we're going to keep having these conversations.
Well, we've been having them for 13 years, man. You've been in power. The immigration system's got worse under the Tories, and they're a bunch of racists, which makes no sense. But hey, we live in Britain. What makes fucking sense in Britain? We voted for, well, I say we. British people voted for Liz Truss as the Prime Minister. What a fucking disaster.
Where it never...
And this twat literally sat on the back benches and cheered when she did. This is the mad part about this entire... How the fuck... Okay. I'm gonna get stoned because I want to. How are the Tories still in power, by the way? Like, how we not, like, had a massive riot saying, oh wow, these are too stupid. Like, I've literally watched Netflix videos that make more sense than this government, but yet they're still in power. If this was a third world country, I think the UN would investigate us for like literally being thick cunts. But no, we're Great Britain. We don't have stupid people in charge, but you sure we fucking do. You crash the pound.
It reaches a
Even Labour didn't do that. The whole you've got no money left, well, you crashed the pound. Like anything these people say makes no sense. Who are Tories? Were you gonna blame Labour for 13 years of you being fucking shit? I should know. I've been streaming your fucking shitness for 13 years on many channels, just so you're clear on who I am. Many channels. He's a fucking idiot.
sort of sensible
Ass-licking cunt. These are the worst kind of politicians. And so is she. She's not as good as well. She's a crackhead.
conclusion.
I mean, is it difficult to find the right number? Although Robert Jenrick, the minister, is suggesting that it's looked at every year to look at what could be a cap, or does the public see through it, as Jenny said? Well, yeah, I think ultimately sort of it's a political assertion of will to do something about a problem that the public cares about, and by saying we'll have caps or we'll have targets, we'll have numbers, that's a sort of a rhetorical device when, you know, already we've seen actually the numbers are very difficult to control and the system is dysfunctional. I think specifically you've got to...
Yeah, the system's fucked. Because Tories are in charge. Duh.
Problem with the refugees, because if you accept that people are genuine refugees, and you have to at least work on the assumption that, you know, if you're using the category refugee, these are people who want asylum, they have a legitimate claim to asylum. I mean, some politicians will say that doesn't exist, or that these are some...
It's 10 fucking idiots on a boat. Just 10 people on a boat, and they're like, they're coming every day. I can count to 10, right? That's not a lot of people. It just isn't. In a country with 67 million people, 10 motherfuckers on a boat ain't a lot of people. The problem is, our country is shit at building houses, and has been for, well, since Margaret Thatcher, basically. There's no fucking infrastructure for, like, let's say, I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna be generous. The people of Great Britain are nice. There you go. I'm being generous, including myself, even though I'm a cunt. Immigration is a big topic for one reason. The fucking media want to make it a fucking topic. That's why. The only reason why you hear about it is because the people who write these fucking articles want it to be an issue. They want it to be an issue. I don't know. People don't get it. The reason why this show has a fucking editor and a producer is because they produce the news. Do you understand how that works, anybody who's listening to this right now? They produce the news. They don't show you the news. They produce the news. That's why you're a producer. I hope you get that when you watch this shit. Produce the news. Paid actors is what it is. And not actors in the sense like they're acting. They are literally put there for a reason. Today, we're going to have him, and her. And this is going to be the news today, as we want you to watch it. Very wary, people. Very wary.
Somehow bogus claims, but, you know, we're talking here about refugees. You can't control the supply of refugees because that's a function of how many crises there are, how many wars there are, how many emergencies there are. So you set your cap, you're basically saying, well, we have this amount of demand for refugees. A society can only tolerate, we're only comfortable with a certain number of refugees. And anyone else, your need just stops at our borders and you can go off somewhere else. Now, if you want to have an honest conversation, by all means, say, yeah, ultimately there's a limit to compassion, and after a while, refugees, we don't care about them anymore, and they can...
Listen to his line. There's a limit to compassion? Nah. I don't know where this guy went to school, but he's pretty stupid. There's a limit to compassion? I don't think so. I think there's a limit for you to understand the basic problem is humans are fucking stupid and we kill other fucking humans for whatever reason, right? People want to come to the United Kingdom. Pretty sure they do. I wouldn't want to live in France. It's a pretty shitty country. Imagine that, right? Imagine coming from war-torn Africa, finding yourself in France. Wouldn't you want to come to Britain too? I mean, let's be honest, we should be happy that people are like, I don't want to stay in France. I want to come to England. We should open our arms to all these motherfuckers. For one also point, who's gonna pay your pension? Last time I checked, the United Kingdom doesn't make children. We just don't. We're like Japan. Everybody is cold and doesn't want to make babies. So who's paying the pension pot then? Just saying. Yeah, all the fucking freeloaders. Yeah, they're paying. Best you know it. And the elephant in the room is, we live on a fucking island.
And go and suffer somewhere else. That would be what the honest statement about having a cap would be. Otherwise, you're having to respond to where the emergencies are and what the need is.
I mean, part of the numbers on net migration, Madeline, the reason they're so high is because of people coming from Ukraine, people coming from Hong Kong. They are actually not counted in the asylum applications.
Yeah, which makes no sense, right? So all the numbers they give you, like just listen to what you just said. We've got people from Hong Kong and Ukraine, and they're not even counted in a fucking thing. Like, do you count people coming to the? No, that's a dip. That's not asylum. That's something else. Okay, that's mad, innit? So you can throw any numbers you want out on the TV and just go, "We're being invaded." Really? Are we being invaded? I can't fucking be. I can't see any fucking invading me. I don't know. It's like smoking another spliff. I'm being invaded by somebody. Nadine Dorris. I'm being invaded by the Tories. Yeah.
In that sense, would a cap be useful?
Well, that's a really good point. Firstly, that last year was an unnaturally high number, and I think it's
Actually, Madeline Grant, I like her, even though she's a tosspot. Whatever.
perhaps wrong to take that as demonstrative of a normal year, a normal amount of migrant and refugee flows into the country. I mean, I think that we do necessarily have some kind of cap, whether we talk about it or not, because as Raphael.
Okay, I take it back. She's a fucking idiot. We need a cap on people coming into the UK. No, 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 no. We don't need a cap at all. We need more people in the UK. Nobody is having any babies. Why does nobody tell the truth? The UK requires fucking immigrants, like a lot. Unless all my fellow English people and Scottish and Welsh people want to fucking start making more babies, we need people to pay pension funds. That's not a joke. People laugh. People think there's too many people on planet Earth. Never clearly went to school, but they think there's too many people on planet Earth. No, it's distribution is the problem, darlings. It's not the fact there's too many people. There's too many people scattered all over the planet, which makes distribution of two things, food and water, fucking difficult. That's the problem, not overpopulation. And overpopulation was started in the 1970s by a eugenicist of all people, which is pretty fucking creepy, if you think about it. Trust me, it's creepy.
Mentioned in his scenario, there is a limit to what people can tolerate and also what we as a country can afford. I mean, we are one of the wealthiest countries in the world, but when you
we're one of the wealthiest countries in the world who has nurses on strike, teachers on strike, firefighters on strike. Who else is on strike? Train drivers on strike. The same people. But we're one of the most wealthiest people in the world. Countries even. Okay. That sentence right there is alarming if you actually pay attention to fucking reality. The fact that she can say that and not think that's like utterly fucking retarded is bemusing to say the least. Like she literally says that we're one of the most wealthiest countries in the world. So then why do our people suffer so much? I just want to understand your fucking logic at this point. Why do nurses, teachers, other professions go to food banks and go on strike in the wealthiest country in the world? Who is she talking about? That's what I want to know. Language, motherfucker.
start looking at GDP, it goes down a lot. And I think there is a finite public demand for this. I think maybe having a cap is a good way of sort of focusing minds and saying we intend to do something about this. But I just think that given the way that the government has already shown that it's very, very difficult to get a grip on these numbers, as Jenny mentioned, it's not making particular progress or speed with processing them. It all feels a bit of a kind of by-the-by conversation, because in the meantime, like, how would you actually begin to impose or to see that cap through with...
Don't need a cap. Invade France. Told you already.
Real policy. It just sounds like words to me.
We're going to leave it there.
Because that's what they are. Fucking words. Congratulations, you did some reporting. Wow. That's all clap. Someone did a bit of reporting at the end of a waffle. It's all just fucking words, really. Well, congratulations. Do I need a PhD for that shit? I mean, fuck no. If you paid me as much as she gets paid to sit on the BBC with your money, can I just point out something that's really strange that nobody knows? They get paid to sit on there. I'm just saying. The BBC literally pays them £230. Do you know this? Do you actually know this shit? Every political show that I stream, the guests on this show get paid to be on the show. Like, literally. The BBC pays them money to be on this show with your fucking money. That is such... Wow. And people go, yeah, I'm going to watch some politics. Okay.
And talk...
Get paid to talk shit. And then you have to pay to watch them talk shit, yeah? Which is called a TV license.
about the Northern
Total crash.
Ireland Protocol. That is the trading arrangement negotiated during the Brexit talks. It meant that Northern Ireland would follow the EU broadly, or be in the single market for goods, separate to the rest of the UK, in order to avoid a hard border between Northern Ireland and Ireland, which is in the EU. But it has led to an effective customs border down the Irish Sea. Rishi Sunak, we were expecting, actually, an announcement possibly today or tomorrow about a new deal that's been reached. But let's have a look at this headline in the Daily Telegraph. Rishi Sunak forced to pause protocol deal amid backlash from senior Conservatives and the Democratic Union.
Oh, fuck me. The DUP. I thought they got voted out. They still exist, the DUP. Our crazy Irish friends. Can we just sell it? Can we sell it? Can we sell Northern Ireland? Sell it to France? Maybe, if we're lucky. Maybe.
Unionist Party. Now, one of those senior Conservatives could be Jacob Rees-Mogg, former Cabinet Minister. He's from the European Research Group of MPs, and he said this last night on the BBC.
The view of the DUP will be very influential with the ERG, and that's why their tests are so important. And the Prime Minister needs to be negotiating from what will be acceptable to the DUP and to the voters in Northern Ireland as a starting point, rather than trying to present them with a fait accompli and say take it or leave it.
That was Jacob Rees-Mogg. Let's talk to the BBC's Ireland correspondent, Emma Vardy. Emma, hello to you. Bring us up to date with where we are with the negotiations with Rishi Sunak and the EU.
Well, it had been looking like there might be a deal today or tomorrow, and then over the weekend those hopes gradually faded away, and all the noises coming out of Brussels that we're hearing at the moment, it now looks more likely to be midweek or towards the end of the week. But there was that flurry of activity on Friday when the Prime Minister came over to speak to all the parties, but we all knew that the conversations across the table with the DUP were going to be the crucial ones. On Friday, the DUP were positive, but also cautious. And I think what we take from that is, look, a number of the DUP's tests for whether the protocol deal is acceptable to them, it sounds like some of those tests have been met, but it's not all the way there yet. So the DUP were impressing on the Prime Minister the things they really need to be able to sell this deal to the unionist electorate. And Rishi Sunak's got a big call to make.
Right, and on that, I mean, the big political problem, Emma, is that Northern Ireland effectively doesn't have a government because the Democratic Unionist Party pulled out of power sharing at Stormont some time ago over this issue of the protocol. What, in your view, is needed to bring the DUP back on board?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for people in Northern Ireland is run by civil servants. There's no ministers in post. That causes problems in all sorts of areas, not least Brexit or trading arrangements. What's needed in the DUP's view, their big picture argument to all of this is they need to preserve the integrity of the UK. For them, that means not having all these onerous checks on goods which are coming across the Irish Sea and staying in Northern Ireland. They don't want Northern Ireland to be treated differently to the rest of the UK. So if there are laws, EU rules, which companies in Northern Ireland have to abide by, which the rest of the UK doesn't, they feel that Northern Ireland will increasingly become more separate from the rest of the UK over time. And that is really the big picture for them. They have, as I said, these 7 tests that they will judge any deal against. But really it is about, can they take this to the unionist electorate and can they argue that really in their view the protocol has all but been ditched and the new offer on the table is something completely different which restores Northern Ireland's place within the UK. That is the big picture for them. But it's difficult because, of course, no sides get everything they want in a negotiation. There will be hardliners in the DUP who say, no, we need to stay out of Stormont. We need to keep a hard line on this. Others will say we need to get back into Stormont. We're going to have to compromise somewhere. It's not just a big call for Rishi Sunak. It's a really big call for the leader of the DUP, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, as well.
Emma Vardy, thank you very much. Well, is this helping Rishi Sunak strike a deal? This headline in the Daily Mirror, Boris Johnson plotting to oust Rishi Sunak so he can return as Prime Minister, warns former Chancellor George Osborne. He said that yesterday. On the other hand, we have this in The Independent, suicidal treachery, Tory grandee's stark warning to Boris Johnson allies over Brexit result. This is the ex-Foreign Office Minister, Sir Alan Duncan. It doesn't sound like it's going very well within the Conservative Party, does it, Matt, in terms of getting MPs on board to support any deal Rishi Sunak strikes?
Well, I think it's no surprise that this is something that arouses immense passions from both sides of the Conservative Party on Brexit. But the reality is, until we see what the deal entails, everyone here is somewhat in the dark. So I think what you're seeing clearly from people like Jacob Rees-Mogg and the ERG is attempts to try and nudge the Prime Minister in a certain direction, and you're getting some of that from the other side as well.
Should Rishi Sunak ignore them? Should Rishi Sunak just ignore these noises off from a particular wing of the Conservative Party or not?
No, I don't think he should ignore anybody, but I do think what he should be doing is focusing on a deal that gets both the protocol right, or the future Brexit relationship with Northern Ireland right, gets the Assembly back up and running, and also focus on the needs of the people of Northern Ireland. I think that is what will convince people on all sides of the argument that he's doing the right thing.
Is it helpful, Boris Johnson's intervention?
Well, his reminder of the bill that he had as a sort of backstop, I think, is a sensible observation. It's a statement of the obvious as well. But I think we also need to bear in mind that both sides need to move a little bit on this, because the nature of compromise is what will give us a deal.
But he's obviously angering some people, Boris Johnson, within the Conservative Party.
I think there's always different sides of the Conservative Party angering other bits of the argument. Let's not focus on that. Let's focus on the need to get a deal done and the need to, crucially, make sure that that Assembly is back up and running, because that's what's really hurting the people in Northern Ireland.
Right, but so who's going to give way here, within the Conservative Party particularly? I mean, or are we going to return to the sort of Brexit wars that we've seen over the last few years?
Well, to be honest, I think the question is really about what the DUP make of it, more so than indeed than the Conservative Party.
Right.
Although obviously that is a concern. I mean, there's a very real chance that, you know, even if there are some further concessions made, that for the DUP this is really a matter of sovereignty, not so much about, you know, merely the simple movement of goods. I'm not sure that a red and green lane will necessarily solve those fundamental issues of sovereignty.
And this is to sort of fast-track certain goods heading for Northern Ireland.
If the DUP say no, then it will have been a failure, because then you won't get the functioning Stormont. And I doubt it would even be, they'd consider even putting it to the Commons under those circumstances. Right.
Well, of course, Keir Starmer's called for a vote to come to the Commons so MPs, I should say, can decide whether they like the deal or not. But we already know Sir Keir Starmer likes it, because he's pretty well said, we'll back you, Rishi Sunak, even if Conservative MPs don't?
What we've... Keir isn't calling for a vote to happen, but he says if a vote should be needed, that the Labour Party would back a deal. And I'll tell you why that is. You know, you do not play games with the politics of Northern Ireland. This is serious stuff. You know, this is whole communities who are being destabilised because there's some fringe problem in the Tory party that Rishi Sunak cannot control. He knows there's a deal. By all accounts, he's done a deal. And all that he needs to do now is to actually put it forward, put it to Parliament and get that vote through. And what the trouble is here, he is so weak that he is allowing himself to be pushed around by the ERG, by Boris Johnson, by noises, people that no one in Darlington's ever heard of, and he is not able to deliver his party. Now, Starmer's offer to say, look, if you need our votes to get this through, like we have done on occasions in the past, we will vote to get this through because we think this is the right thing to do. You cannot move forward in our relationship with the EU, in issues like Horizon, and moving forward as a country until you've dealt with this issue. It's taking up a huge amount of government bandwidth and it needs to be resolved.
No doubt much of that is true, but fundamentally, if you don't have the consent of the biggest unionist party, you do not have the power sharing agreement and you do not have a functioning Stormont.
No, so what you need to do, you are the Prime Minister of a country that the DUP want to, they support the Conservative Party. You need to use your diplomatic skills, your political skills. You need to involve all communities in Northern Ireland, which they should have been doing months ago. We've been calling for this for a very long time now. They've totally failed to do that. And now they're left in a situation of turning up at the very last minute, saying, here's your deal, take it or leave it. It's completely the wrong way to have handled this.
First of all, spoiler alert, right, the DUP answer will be no.
Exactly,
the answer is always
exactly.
No. And, although I don't necessarily agree with the DUP position on this, I understand why they feel betrayed by the Conservative Party on this, because essentially Boris Johnson completely betrayed them. He did a deal, and every single Conservative MP who voted for the deal that was done in 2019 said it was an excellent deal, and the ERG said very clearly this satisfies all of our requirements on sovereignty. They then turned around, they sold it to the British public in a general election on exactly that basis. They said, Boris Johnson said very clearly there would be no border down the Irish Sea, no customs border, which was turned out to be completely untrue. Every Conservative MP who voted for that deal either didn't really understand what it said, in which case they were derelict in their responsibility as parliamentarians, or they did understand, but they didn't actually want to support it. They knew immediately they were going to renege on it, which was fundamentally dishonest. That clip that you saw of Jacob Rees-Mogg earlier, he said something very interesting. He said, we need to get the DUP on side with this and the voters of Northern Ireland. The voters of Northern Ireland, a majority, support the existing protocol. So the voters of Northern Ireland and the DUP are two quite different things. And what's actually happening there is Jacob Rees-Mogg is doing what he always does, what English Tories always do. They are using the politics of Northern Ireland to make points about Eurosceptic theology regarding sovereignty, to have reenact whatever civil wars they want to reenact, because 2019 was their finest hour and Brexit has just gone downhill since then. That's the game they're playing. That's the game they've always played. And in answer to your first question, should Rishi Sunak ignore them? Yes, of course he should ignore them. He should tell them where to go and do the deal to move on to a future of better relations with the European Union.
Matt?
Well, I agree that we need to do a deal. I agree that we need to move on. I think that's a pretty cynical interpretation of where we
but is it true?
From 2019. So I think this has always been about how the deal that was done was in practice implemented. And we've seen the EU shift hugely on things that it said it would never be able to countenance changing. So I think what was envisaged when that deal was done is not what has come to pass. The fact that we're now trying to make it work shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody.
Right. I mean, there is an issue, Raphael, with the Democratic Unionist Party when you say the majority of voters and even the majority of members of Stormont, when it was sitting, supported the protocol. But the problem is the Good Friday Agreement is not based on majoritarianism, you could call it. It is based on cross-community consent. So how do you get around that?
Well, I agree, and it's very difficult. The tragedy is that the political capital that Boris Johnson had after 2019, that could have been spent, and the political capital that Rishi Sunak has that could have been spent basically talking to the DUP and saying, this is the best deal you're going to get, this is the arrangement we have, this is how we move forward, was instead spent saying, oh, actually, no, you're right, this deal's absolutely terrible, it's rubbish, and we're going to pick a fight with the EU, and we're going to pass this other piece of legislation that essentially rips up a treaty that we've done and demonstrates us to be essentially untrustworthy in international relations, to sort of stoke the anger and stoke the fire of the DUP. with a view that that would somehow put pressure on the EU, which it's utterly failed to do. So, I mean, I agree, it's incredibly difficult, but tragically, the opportunity to try and bring the DUP on board was squandered by Boris Johnson from the moment he signed the deal.
Right. Have Conservative governments consistently mishandled this issue?
No, I don't think so. But what I do think
you're
is
not
definitely
sure.
true. No. What I definitely think is true is that we've ended up with a deal that is misunderstood by both sides and needs to be rethought. That's what we're now in the process of doing. I think the fact that the EU have moved so far demonstrates that they acknowledge that some of it could have been handled a lot better. Are there bits that we could have done better with hindsight? Of course there are, but hindsight is pretty useless in advance.
I mean, the problem with Matt's sort of looking back and sort of rewriting a bit of history is this was an agreement. There's no envisioning needed about how this would work. It's all there in black and white, and the Tories agreed to it. They shouldn't have presented the deal as it was, because the checks between Great Britain and Northern Ireland are a problem. They were always going to be a problem.
But could it work with these lanes, with a green lane and a red lane? You could allow goods to go to Northern Ireland without checks or fewer checks, and others headed for Ireland, the single market.
It is very important to reduce the checks. That trade friction does need to be sorted. The Labour Party's never said the protocol was a good thing and should be left alone. Of course that needs to be done. But what's happened now is it's become much, much bigger because of the failure to manage the politics around this and to engage with parties and with businesses and organisations and civic society in Northern Ireland. That's how this should have been handled. The opportunity has been completely thrown away by the Tory party because they are riven with infighting and division. And that is what's so sad about this. And to use Northern Ireland as the vehicle for your desire to bring down Rishi Sunak if you're a Johnson supporter, or to have a go at Boris Johnson if you're a Sunak supporter, our politics has got to do far, far better than this.
Look, I think no one should take lessons from the Labour Party on being riven with division within your own party, but ultimately there are fundamental disagreements about the nature of Brexit across the political spectrum and within the EU as well. I think what we're now seeing is the sort of home straight to a resolution to that. That is something that we should welcome, and that is something that I would hope the DUP, the ERG, a whole host of others will look at clear-eyed and say, come on, this is actually beneficial to all.
But they're not. That's not what's happening.
Well, time will tell. You haven't seen the deal. I haven't seen the deal. They haven't seen the deal. Let's be realistic about this. It's politically advantageous for Labour to damn it at this stage. No. The reality is we've got to wait and see.
Look at what they're saying, Matt.
What they're saying is that they haven't seen the deal, and neither have you. So what is it that you want to see in practice? Surely you would want to see them look at it and be pragmatic.
I want to see a negotiated outcome here that gets through Parliament and that is implemented, and we get stability. And what your guys, Tory MPs, are saying today, this morning, publicly, is they're setting out their tests that they know are not going to be met by this deal. They know that's because they don't want to support it.
As you know.
They do not want to support this because they're using it to further their Tory infight. That's what's going on. Well, and you need to recognise that, because you're not. Sunak needs to stand up to it. He needs to face it down and move on. So at the moment,
I don't disagree that we definitely need to see strength from the Prime Minister.
Well, I'm not
absolutely
seeing any.
agree with that. But I think what has to also be the case is that all sides need to take a look at this with a pragmatic eye.
Let's move on and have a look at this headline in the Eye. Universal credit childcare payments could be increased in the budget, which is coming up in a few weeks' time, to get parents back to work. Now, this refers to possible reforms in next month's budget, as we all guess what Jeremy Hunt is going to say, the Chancellor, particularly in this case to childcare support to help parents get back to work. Well, let's hear from some parents concerned about the costs of childcare. BBC Politics South's Marcella Whittingdale has this report.
Look, yay! I'm a fully qualified level 7 postgraduate HR manager, and I'm not doing anything with it because financially it doesn't make sense.
Alexandra Meski from Tunbridge Wells says her childcare costs were so high she ended up effectively paying to go to work.
3 days a week was about £900 a month, and that is just shy of our mortgage. We've got basically 2 mortgages. If we have another child right now, we would not be able to afford it.
Mum to 17-month-old Emmeline, Alexandra tried for months to make working work, but says she was effectively priced out of the job market. It's left her feeling redundant.
Yeah, just like we're not worth it. Women aren't worth it. They don't care if we're in the workforce or not. They're not encouraging us. It's like they don't want us at the table. They just want us at home. They say they're progressing, but really they just want us at home, cooking and cleaning, and looking after, the children, because then it saves them having to invest.
In Burgess Hill, Vicky Burton's also keen to get back to her much-loved job as a visual stylist for an interiors company. But she and her husband are debating whether that's worth it, practically or financially. The government does provide 30 hours of free childcare across 38 weeks of the year to parents in England, but it doesn't start till the term after a child turns 3.
I currently have 2 children, one who's 10 months, one who's 2, and neither of them will qualify until they turn 3. You know, the best part of like 50 quid, which is our take-home money. So yeah, we're at that kind of stage at the moment going, I'll be going to work, which is great for me, but I'll be going to work for the privilege of working.
The Lime Tree Workshop in Sevenoaks is a co-working space used by many mothers. It's where Ali Tate comes to run the support group MIB Network for Mums in Business. She says many of her members have left successful careers to build businesses which work around their childcare commitments.
We are losing so much talent out of the workplace. It's so key. There's all these people who've been through an education system, often been to university or further education. They've had really good jobs, they've been really successful, and we are literally letting that talent go out of this country because we're not looking after those people.
Last October, Alexandra was one of thousands of women who joined the March of the Mummies, a rally organised by charity Pregnant Then Screwed. They're calling for more investment so everyone has access to affordable childcare, flexible working and properly paid parental leave. The government says it's invested more than £10.5 billion into early education over the past 3 years, and that they're looking into options to improve the cost flexibility and availability of childcare. But Vicky and Alexandra say unless improvements are built into the system, many mums and their children will be left at the bottom of the pile.
That was very clear there at the end. BBC Politics South East, Marcella Whittingdale reporting. You heard from Alexandra Mesky there in the report. She joins us now from our Tunbridge Wells studio. Welcome to you, Alexandra. Tell us a little bit more about your personal experience.
So I went back to work when my daughter was 6 months old. I really missed working. I wanted to get back into the workforce.
Yes.
So I took up a position as a standalone HR manager in a social care setting, and it was 3 days a week, hybrid working, so a mixture of at home and in the office. And that was 3 days a week, and for the 3 days it cost, I looked at the figures, it was £950 a month to put my daughter in childcare. But the nursery was regularly shut in due to staff shortages, so I'd lose money there. I'd have to take unpaid leave from work. After 9 months, the mental load, the stress of trying to be a HR manager in social care is quite stressful, and it just wasn't worth me coming home having a couple of £100 in my bank account to show for it.
Do you think politicians have and are taking this issue of childcare and affordability seriously enough?
I think the hand is being forced to take it seriously because there's enough noise being made by charities like Pregnant and Screwed, and the march we all went on. But what they announce in the spring budget will really truly show if they are taking it seriously. They need to stop viewing childcare as glorified babysitting services and see it as essential educational infrastructure for our early years setting.
Alexandra, stay with us and listen to what our guests have to say. What do you make of what you've just heard from Alexandra? Are you expecting and would you like to see something serious on childcare, an offer from Jeremy Hunt?
Yes, is the short answer. If the Chancellor has a single penny for a rabbit to come out of the hat, then for me it should be going on childcare in this budget. I think that's partly... I've got a 10-week-old baby at home. I'm somewhat party-pre on this, but I do think this is such a huge issue. That crunch point for people going back after maternity leave and then before before any of the free childcare hours kick in. Really painful. I think that needs to be addressed. But there's a whole host of other things, for instance, around money that is there not being claimed.
Right.
So I think there's a really good case for spending and for reform on this if there is any money available.
Right. So do you think the government has got a plan to get someone like Alexandra back to work?
Well, I wish I knew what was in the budget, but I do think absolutely the government certainly gets just how important this issue is, and I hope that the forthcoming budget is where they can make a move on it, but I think it will be an issue with us for some time to come as well.
Labour's been talking about this for quite a while. The Times headline here, Bridget Phillips and Labour's childcare plan will be like the birth of the NHS. What exactly does that mean?
It means we need something which is a big change, but it's got to be simple. So one of the other problems that you haven't touched on yet about with the way things are organised now, it is so damn complicated to work out what you're entitled to. If your hours change, you know, what does that mean? Can you find somewhere that can provide what you need close enough to home in a way that's accessible to you? Yeah. It's so complicated. There's credits for this, there's vouchers for that. So we've got to simplify the whole thing.
OK.
So
But that would... I mean, if it's going to be like the birth of the NHS, I mean, there are no figures attached. I mean, what are we talking about? Billions of pounds here,
There will be. So we will have...
there?
Yes, there will. We will have a fully costed plan in time for the next election. What we've said so far is that we want to do the before school bit. So one of the problems that parents have is being able to find childcare which is before 9 o'clock in the morning. So we're going to do breakfast clubs. And we've said that already.
Yes.
Clearly, that is a tip of the iceberg. And we will be announcing much more detail as we go forward.
So you might put up taxes to raise the sorts of money...
Everything we do will be fully costed. We're not going to be putting up taxes. We've said that we're going to do the tax on private schools. We said we're going to do the non-doms. We said we're going to do the windfall tax on oil and gas companies. So we know as the Labour Party that we have to be absolutely precise and clear about where every single penny comes from.
Right. I mean, is this going to be a defining issue at the next election, Madeleine?
I think so, yes. I mean, I think that it's been ignored for far too long.
Yeah.
But I've found I'm 30, I don't have a baby, sadly, but my friends who do, and a lot of them are getting to that stage now where they're thinking about it or about to, it genuinely has a radicalising effect on people. People who were totally apolitical before are now, you know, like we saw in the video, people going out on marches and so forth. It has had this effect. And interestingly, in the Australian election last year, Anthony Albanese won that election partly on the basis of promising a very generous childcare policy. And I think that, you know, awareness is growing across the board that this is a very difficult country in which to try to raise a child. Not just the childcare, but also things like in other countries, if you have kids, that is explicitly recognised in the tax system. So in France, you have to be, if you have kids, you don't enter the top bracket until you're earning a lot more than if you don't have kids, and this kind of thing. So
is this an issue then that is coming of age, childcare and funding it?
Well, you'd hope so. I mean, my children are now older than that, but I remember exactly these scenarios where people essentially had to make a choice to be worse off but stay in the labour market, and essentially having childcare was essentially a cost.
I'm going to interrupt while I'm eating my munch. I'm literally having something to eat while I listen to this crackpot shit. Mad, innit? I need someone to mind my child so I can go and work like a slave. So I need another slave to mind my slave child. Don't you find that funny at all? Nobody likes Monty Python. Scenario. I need a slave as a slave. So I'm gonna work my ass off, but I need someone to mind my kid who's also on the minimum wage. Fucking hilarious.
I think the point about how complex it is very important. As I understand it, there's also sort of perverse unintended consequences have gone into the system where because of some people are entitled to the subsidised cost, that then sort of hikes up the cost for other users. So there's huge differentials. And also, I mean, to be honest, I think Alexandra made this point that if this had been an issue of men being locked out of the workforce or being priced out of the workforce, we would have been having this conversation 10, 15 years ago. I mean, I think she made a very good point in the film there that it is essentially, because it's about women in the labour market, it's...
Wait, hold on, bro. Wait, hold on. Wait. Yeah, but men don't have babies, you fucking clown. The entire point is not about having babies, it's about money. Nobody points out the fucking obvious. Why do you need to fucking stay away from your kid? I need money. But they talk and make you think it's about women's rights, men's rights, whatever fucking rights. I don't know, having a baby. Yeah. You go to work for one reason, get paid. You're someone else's bitch. Everyone thinks money is some like arbitrary bullshit that everyone uses, when actually it's a big massive I owe you money. You need money for one reason only, not to be someone else's fucking bitch. In case you haven't paid any fucking attention to the past, I don't know, million fucking years. I'm so glad I heard that from a man, that I'm equally fucking stupid as a woman. Go to work, bitch. Yeah, go to work and then pay someone £13 an hour to manage your fucking kid. Because you like being in the workforce. What, you like being a fucking slave? Jesus Christ. If you ask most rational people, what would you rather do? Sit on your ass all day or go and fucking slog your bollocks off? You know what most people would say? Sit on my ass all day. These brainwashed TikTok and fucking users, fucking cunts. Yeah, I want to go back into the workforce. Really? Are you fucking mental? No. I love climbing up chimneys as a 12-year-old. Money is anything with intrinsic value. You do know that, right? While I have my munch and critique my own political program, money is anything with intrinsic value. Do you want me to tell you why prostitution is illegal in the United Kingdom? Not the act of sex. You don't pay tax. Let that sink in. The act of fucking a prostitute is only illegal for one reason. The tax man. And then I have to listen to people tell me I want to go back to work, but I can't because the childcare system sucked. Huh. You know what you should do? First of all, realise you're in a capitalist system and stop voting for Tories, and then understand that you actually want to be a socialist. Which is mad, isn't it? Because that is socialism. I want to be a slave, a beehive lady, working for the man, sucking dicks, getting that monies, getting them D's or P's or whatever. But some bitch better fucking look after my kid. Huh. Fucking comical. Capitalism. What a wonderful world.
I had to give up work after I had my second child because it just wasn't worth, we couldn't afford it. And I think so many people have had to leave the labour market for 2-3 more years because they couldn't afford to go to work. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And that affects...
That sentence is crazy. I couldn't afford to go to work. What? Yeah, I've got no money. But work's supposed to give me money? Huh. Hang on a minute, what? Yeah, it's cheaper to stay at home and look after my baby than it is to be a slave and let my baby go with some other fucking freaky person. Can't afford it. Costs too much money. It costs too much money to stay at home and be with my kid. Oh wait, what? What did you say? Oh, I mean, it costs me too much money to go to work so that I can complain about not being with my kid. Wow! And you wonder why it's a complicated situation. It's not actually complex, to be fair. You're a slave and you need someone to watch your kid. Or you pay tax, which apparently nobody likes doing. Which is a funny thing. Like the rich don't like to pay tax. Do you know how much money we don't tax in the world? It's amazing. Mmm. Oh my god, this food is so good. Sorry. I know I'm eating on my roast thing, but don't really care. It's delicious. Anyway, I finished now. Right, back to rich people being cunts. If you tax the average person in the UK, I don't know, let's say 18.5% VAT or some stupid shit, whatever it is. The average billionaire with a B, by the way, not it's like some Z plus fucking weird, a billionaire. You know, he makes more interest than you probably earn as a salary. Like, literally. Even with the stupid interest rates. And all the rich people are getting richer. Because you know what happens when you put up interest rates? If you got any savings at all? The bank pays you more money. Everyone forgot that trick, innit? Everyone forgot that trick. If you got any savings at all, and the interest rates go up by the Bank of England, your savings go up. It's good for rich people, don't you know? You don't pay any tax. Which is also fucking interesting. So they get paid by the banks for having money, and then they don't tax them for having money. So basically, we're getting shafted twice. While they keep saying the word inflation, it means people are getting rich. Have you not seen the news stories about the profits of all the big oil companies? Nobody, and I do mean nobody, has mentioned how fucking insanely rich people are getting who have just got fucking big fat bank accounts in general. Because the interest rates keep going up. Just saying. Lot of dosh. Lot of dosh.
Them that scarring on their career doesn't, you don't just slot back in. You've got retraining. You often can't go back in at the same level that you left. It's it's a huge problem for the country.
But as Matt alluded to earlier, sometimes there has been a problem of people not taking things up. I think in the coalition government there was a plan to give greater shared parental leave and therefore for men to take more, but it was hardly used at all by those who were eligible.
The last coalition government? No, the Tories. I like the way she said that political. Oh, the last coalition? Nah, the Tories. They were put in power by the Lib Dems. It was a Tory government. Don't say coalition as if the Lib Dems had any fucking impact. I mean, literally, are you fucking taking a piss? Mind you, she does work with a Spectator, so I digress.
Which might be a problem of not advertising it well enough. But actually, you may also have a problem if men simply aren't taking it up or aren't inclined to do so.
Alexandra, what do you make of what you've heard?
I think it was fantastic that mentioning that if this was about men being priced out of the workforce, this would have been spoken about years ago.
I'm fucking inclined to agree, but the only problem with that scenario is men don't have babies. I mean, I'm not pointing out the fucking obvious here, but I'm pointing out the fucking obvious. Men don't have kids. Just saying. If you want to say, I want to go back to the workforce, I want to be a mom. Listen, bro, I didn't ask you to have kids. I'm just saying. I didn't literally ask you to have kids and stay off work. And you go, that's very misogynistic, Mr. Stizor. How dare you say that against the women's... What? It's a fact. Men can't have babies. And therefore, you live in a capitalist system and you believe in all the capitalisms, then just saying, stop whinging and pay a slave, preferably the minimum wage, maybe. Do you understand how funny this gets, this scenario? I hope so. I hope you're enjoying my parody of reality, which is people whining on politics shows about the dumbest shit ever. We could solve all the world's problems. We need to kill Jesus first, though, because it's a pain in the ass, isn't it? We can do anything we want, ladies and gentlemen. We can go to the fucking moon. We can take pictures of galaxies light years away, but we can't solve the problem of a transgender person going through a fucking toilet. The epicness. I think actually one of my favorite stories is Warhammer 40k. I don't know if you're aware of Warhammer 40k, but I think it's even better than. I think it makes more sense than reality itself. No jokes. I think whoever created that shit, no names, were fucking very funny and smart. A bit like Monty Python. Warhammer 40k is humanity. In the dark future, there is only war. Yes, with transgender people clearly on Twitter or whatever fucking retarded shit becomes the news the same day, which you happen to believe is news. I mean, imagine how many studies you don't watch on the news that are actually like interesting. But yeah, I have to stream to you this bullshit because people like me. Which is that? What's that? Is that manicus? I want to punch my own dick or something, probably.
It's 2023. We need to be living in a society where women aren't forced to choose between children and a career.
Alexander.
They're not though, are they? They're not. You can have clearly both of them at the same time. You can literally have babies and a career. You literally can. Or don't get pregnant. Don't hate me in the side chat or at my chat. Don't hate me saying what. You can keep your legs closed and don't have one. I'm just saying, there's a choice. Don't be so radical. No one's forcing you to have a kid. You stupid cunt. But I can't have a job. Well, shit happens, innit? I mean, think of how Hitler felt when he wanted to dominate the world. Twat.
Andra Mesky, thank you very much for joining us and taking part in.
Or Stalin, or Pol Pot, or all these crackheads who want to run the world. They're mental. Like you, woman, how dare you ask for time off while you're having a baby? The fuck out of here. Climb a chimney, motherfucker.
Contributing.
Sorry. It just says with some zest, okay? It doesn't say politics live and the date. It says me having a laugh at politics. For once, I haven't done it for ages. I feel like reinvigorated. Just to talk shit over some twats talking bollocks. Makes me feel better.
To that film. We're going to talk about Jeremy Corbyn.
Here we go. Here's our jazzer. I should put this in like little small bites so it's more like tangible for people because they're just like, wow, you're literally crazy. You should put that in smaller bits. Yeah, Jeremy Corbyn. Wow. Okay, I don't even know how to explain Jeremy Corbyn. Do I like Jeremy Corbyn? Oh, Jeremy Corbyn. Yes, I do. Do I think he was a good Labour leader? Not one bit. I think he was utter shit, to be fair. He was shit because he's not a leader type. He's a good waypoint for morality of Brits. Not all Brits, clearly. But in terms of some of what he says, yeah, I'm probably most of the way with him. The whole Palestine issue, why? I don't know. Palestine's a big. I don't know. I don't know why he fucked that shit up. I mean, I'm not even religious, so that's fucking stupid. I mean, if you look at our history when it comes to Israel, it's a bit bonkers anyway. I wouldn't take sides in that conversation, to put it lightly. I mean, we left Israel for one fucking reason after we created it. It was a fucking shitstorm. If you're gonna bring that up in politics, like Jew versus Arab Muslim, oh no, that's asking for trouble at that point. So I'm not surprised our xenophobic country shit themselves when it came to Jeremy Corbyn. But the funny thing is, I watched politics program. I think it was fucking Newsnight actually. Come to think about it, and they had like little they had plaques. Well, not plaques. What's it? What they called? Fucking policies. They had like policies. They had like 10 policies or whatever, and they were asking like people like, whose policies you like the most, and they all was like, we actually like Labour's policies the most. And then when they said it's Jeremy Corbyn, they said no, I'm not gonna vote for him. That was so mad to watch that. I was like, yeah, that's Britain 101 right there. Like, you can literally convince people to vote against their best self-interest. I mean, it's not like we're new or we're the best. Every country does that. I mean, look at America. They voted for Donald Trump. That's fucking crazy. We voted for Boris Johnson. That's fucking crazy. And Panface. In fact, we didn't even like Panface. That's why he had to get in bed with the Lib Dems. Point being is, these elected officials and shit, mad bastards, and they still get in power. And Jeremy Corbyn was a nice person, but yet the fucking papers hated him. Why? Money, socialism. We're gonna nationalise the railways and shit. Oh, you can't do that. But they were ours anyway. This is the mad thing. Like, people talk about socialism in Britain. You want to nationalise the shit? It was ours before fascists sold it. Like, let that sink in. They sold the railways. It was nationalised. Well, it was shit. It's shit now. It can't get any worse, can it? So can you just give it... Like, at least I know when I pay tax, it's not going to an investor. It's going to maybe the NHS or somewhere fucking else. I don't know. But I'd rather not go in some private company's pocket. Like, any tax that I pay, I don't want to be associated. I don't want my tax money to go to any private corporation. Period. That is not... That's not how you should run a government. If I pay tax, I want to see where every fucking penny I pay in tax fucking goes. And if I'm investing in a company which is private that has profits, no, that's the weirdest Ponzi scheme I can possibly come up with. You pay tax by law. Let this sink in how fucking strange this gets actually when it comes to capitalism and our stupid weird democracy, as you would call it. You are forced to pay tax, forced by law, and then the government gives it to rich people who are already rich, and they call it a private partnership. Yeah, no shit there, Sherlock. Where's my money? Did anybody, literally anybody in the United Kingdom get 1 penny when we sold the post office? Anybody? You know, everybody paid for the post office, right? In tax. It was owned by the public. And then governments have some weird idea that they can sell a national asset to private companies and then still say you are forced to pay tax to a private company because it's the government and we can sell your shit. That's like me saying I'm the king of fucking Liverpool. I am the de facto king of Liverpool. Prove me wrong. Apparently. Eh? Prove me wrong. Tell me I'm not the king of the Britons. Or Scousers in this fucking case. Tell me. How is that not the same thing when you sell a fucking asset that does not belong to you? It belongs to the people who paid taxes for it. But you go, oh no, we will give that to some rich people. And you will still pay tax anyway. Why do we pay for the BBC? Fuck knows. Oh yeah, I do know why we pay for the BBC. Propaganda, but never mind. It's just mad, isn't it? The way the world works and the way we get fucked over by giant corporations in the guise of the government. Okay, this is American terminology, but it's still actually a very truism. Americans always say big government. You don't want big government. Have you literally focused on what that actually means in your actual brain? Big government. The people are the government. That's the point. And when they no longer become the government, then you are basically not in the same system you think you're in. Like China, for instance. Or maybe Russia. Or any fucking mad dictatorship you want to fucking call. Once you lose the literal power to say, no, we own this shit and it belongs to the people, and you get fucked over. What did Mussolini call it again? Oh yeah, corporatism. Yeah. I didn't say that. Mussolini did. We live in a corporatism style fascist fucking system, and apparently no one gives a fuck. Where corporations run the fucking world, and everybody else is just a fucking bitch. Bit like Wutani and Alien. Don't know if anybody's seen Alien, the Wutani Corporation, or whatever the fuck it's called. Like, you can imagine in the future where you go to like a school and it's fucking named after Amazon or some shit. Fucking hell.
The former
AI doesn't scare me. Fucking human beings fucking scare me. AI's not the least of my problems. Fucking hell. Have you seen Twitter? What a clusterfuck that is, and that's full of humans. The bots are the least of my problem on Twitter. The fucking humans are toxic, weird cunts. And then they complain about Twitter. That's the mad bit. People complain about Twitter, and they're the reason why Twitter is toxic. Like they are the reason why Twitter is a fucking massive L. They're on it. You contribute to that shit. Why? You want to be famous or whatever. I don't even have a Twitter. Imagine if I had a Twitter. I did already. Got banned. Called someone a cunt for pointing out the obvious. That India has a caste system. Finally, you're not allowed to tell the truth.
Labour leader who has been suspended from the party and sits in Parliament as an independent. You may remember in 2020 the Equality and Human Rights Commission found that Labour under Jeremy Corbyn when he was leader has been responsible for unlawful acts of harassment and discrimination against Jewish people. He was suspended by Keir Starmer, and now Starmer has confirmed that he will not stand as a Labour candidate at the next general election. Let's have a listen.
Let me be very clear about that. Jeremy Corbyn will not stand for Labour at the next general election as a Labour Party candidate. What I said about the party changing, I meant, and we are not going back, and that is why Jeremy Corbyn will not stand as a Labour candidate at the next general election.
Hold on, Jezza. Let me rephrase what Keir Starmer said. Keir Starmer said in English, we want to win the next election and we have to please the press. Basically. That's literally what he just said, in case you're not paying attention. He said, Jeremy Corbyn is so toxic, even though he won the biggest majority in a vote share when he was running for election to be Prime Minister. And the only reason why he lost is because of Brexit. And the person who literally sabotaged him, literally sabotaged Jeremy Corbyn getting elected, was the very same guy who won't let him stand as a Labour MP. Now that is funny. That said, would I rather have Keir Starmer in power in number 10 rather than the Tories? Yes, I would. Because I think either way, Jeremy Corbyn will always vote Labour, so he's not a problem. Even Keir Starmer, who's a fucking lawyer, knows this shit. So he doesn't care. He doesn't care. No problem. He will always vote with Labour. Now, it might be one guy, fine. You can say, well, one vote doesn't count. The fact is, when Labour go against him, he's going to win his seat. And Labour won't care. They'll put up some random against him. And they know they're going to lose, but they're going to get paid to do it anyway. He will win Islington again. Labour know it. Everybody knows. You have to be fucking stupid not to fucking know it. Right? So he's going to win. It's not a big deal. The reason why it's a big deal, because the Tories want to focus on him. Jeremy Corbyn. Well, Jeremy Corbyn was a shitty person. He probably was. Probably is. But he never crashed a pound. Did he? He didn't turn the fucking country upside down while in power. The Tories did. And that's what people need to remember. Yes, you mightn't like Jeremy Corbyn for whatever reason, but he never crashed a pound as Prime Minister, and Liz Truss did. Liz Truss lasted 45 fucking days. He lasted longer as the radical fucking Jew-hating cunt that you probably think he is. Russian spy, lasted longer as Labour leader than Liz Truss lasted as our Prime Minister. Let that sink in. Let it sink in. For all you hate him, he was still better than Liz Truss.
There's been no process. There has been no discussion. There have been no appeal. There's no system. I've just been told I'm suspended. I think that's a pretty poor way of treating people, quite honestly. It shows a lack of process of any sort. And that is the situation we're in at the moment. I'm a member of the Labour Party. I attend meetings of my local Labour Party. I work with people in the local Labour Party, and I campaigned for them in the local elections.
Well, that was Jeremy Corbyn. We're joined by Jess Barnard, Labour Executive Committee member, and also a member of the political organisation Momentum that was set up in support of Jeremy Corbyn. Is Keir Starmer right to say that he won't be able to stand Jeremy Corbyn as a Labour candidate at the next general election?
Absolutely not. To put this into context, when Keir Starmer was elected leader of the Labour Party, he promised members he would back not only policies that they overwhelmingly support, but he promised to end NEC stitch-ups and to make sure that local members decide their candidates. And he promised to unite the party in doing so. And obviously last week, and in that clip you've just played, we've heard he's telling members if they don't like the changes that he's made to leave the party. He's personally blocking Jeremy Corbyn from standing, not even an NEC block. He is personally intervening. And that's a man who has been re-elected to Parliament 10 times, who's represented his community for decades, and he is a Labour Party member. Let's get that really clear. He has the same rights of any of us. He's not suspended as a member. And so what Keir is actually doing is overriding the rules and procedures of the party and removing the democratic right of members to have their say. And I think a lot of members feel really alarmed by this because it's not just incredibly undemocratic, but it's also really intolerant towards a huge part of the party who, have different opinions from Keir's.
Right. Would you like him to stand as an independent, Jeremy Corbyn?
I can't really comment on what...
I mean, would you like him to... Well, he has got a fucking choice, has he, at this point, you prat? It's just like... Oh, my God, honestly, watching these shows just fucking drain my brain. Would you like him to stand as an independent if he can't stand as... What do you want him to do, stand as a fucking Tory fucking member of Parliament, you dozy bitch? You fucking asking stupid questions for? He's gonna stand as an independent, and he's gonna win. You literally have to be fucking retarded not to know this shit already. Jesus fucking Christ. Ugh. So annoying.
What I think Jeremy should do, but obviously I think...
Well, if you can't stand as a Labour candidate, would you rather that he then stood as an independent?
Is it only me who's listening to this conversation thinking, are we fucking done here? Are we done? She just said, well, I don't know, because I'm retarded and I can't say he should, because, I don't know, I suck Labour Party cockwomble. Yes, he should stand as an independent and win. We've seen them before. It's not new. Like, it's not new that people have stood as an independent and won their seat. Oh my God.
Rather than not standing at all.
I'm not a constituent of Jeremy's, and so it's not really for me to say what I would like him to do. I think the important thing to say is, I'm a Labour Party member.
Okay, so it's not in my position to have a fucking opinion like most rational humans would. But I'm just gonna say, well, I'm a Labour Party member, and I find it whiny. Just tell the truth, bro. Yes, Jeremy Corbyn should stand as an independent and win his constituency. Do you know why? Because that's what we call democracy. That's what people do, innit? They vote for mad shit. I remember people used to vote for the BNP. Now they just vote for UKIP.
And I joined the Labour Party because I believe...
In fact, I don't even vote for UKIP. Now they vote for... What's that other mad shit called? I forgot. It begins with R. Reform UK, there we go. It took me a while to remember the stupid fucking name. Anyway, Reform UK, basically the BNP with a smile. Or the Tory party with a smile. Or Labour. A lot of BNP voters vote Labour. I mean, it's mad. Like, you don't hear of the BNP anymore. At all. They're still there, people. The BNP still exists, just so you know.
in Labour's ability to deliver change in our country, and that's what I want to see doing.
All right.
What I feel that Keir is doing is backtracking on all the promises he made. He's taking away the voice of our members in Jeremy's constituency, in Islington North, who want to have a say. And that's going back on the promises he's made is not what he was elected to do. And if he'd been honest about his intentions in January 2020, he wouldn't have been successfully elected leader.
What do you say?
Pretty sure he would have been. I mean, fuck about Cooper. She's a crackhead. Don't want to listen to her. I mean, let's be honest. If you are left leaning, who would you vote for in the Labour Party to be the leader of the Labour Party? I dare you to come up with any name that you think would be the next Prime Minister of Great Britain. Look at the front. Okay, I'll give you my name, right? The only person I would like to see as Labour leader is the most unlikeliest person, and she's deputy leader. I'm just pointing out. Like, the person you would think would be a shitty person, I think has more common sense than most people I've listened to. And she isn't... You know the thing I love about her, right? Her name's Angela Rayner, in case you don't know. I love Angela Rayner. Why do I love Angela Rayner, you might say? She's not material. Because she's fucking common. She literally... I love her because she's just, like, common. I like that. I don't know. Maybe because I'm from up north. I like Angela Rayner. I really think she's way better at representing. I think if Keir Starmer was not in her way, I don't know who Keir Starmer's mates are, but I think Angela Rayner has a lot more common sense in regards to the working people than Keir Starmer. Like, Keir Starmer talks about it all the time. I don't see it. And I think that's the British public. I don't think the British public who would tend to vote Labour don't see it. It's just a twat. You sound like a twat. You look like a twat. You know, you're not interesting. And to be fair, that's not a reason why you should vote for somebody to be Prime Minister. But it does help, you know. Like, Jeremy Corbyn had something about him, right? He had something about him. Okay, he probably would have been a shit Prime Minister, probably. But he had something about him, right? He captured the imagination of Britain at the time, I would say, anyway. I mean, he captured mine. I thought he was like our Bernie Sanders, so to speak, who I also love. I love Bernie Sanders. Even though he's not as left-wing as you would think if you're British. He's definitely left-wing in America, though. They call him radical left, which is fucking hilarious. Anywho, when it comes to Jeremy Corbyn, that shit, I don't think Keir Starmer is that likable. I think Angela Rayner, if she had more time, because I've watched it at the Dispatch Box. You know me, guys. I always stream politics. I watched it a lot. She's actually better than he is, in my humble opinion. I think she's a better. Okay, not better. That's the wrong word. I think she's more honest when she's at the Dispatch Box. I think it always looks like he's reading from a script to me, which I fucking hate. I think that's why people like Boris Johnson, because Boris Johnson was just mad, innit? Just fucking waffle. That's why people liked him, because he was fucking mad. I don't think people like Keir Starmer because he's too scripted. And I think if you watch Angela Rayner, I think she's better at the Dispatch Box when it comes to just talking. She just sounds like she's got something about her. And if you read her history, she has. Like, she used to be a cleaner or some shit. Is it cleaner? I don't know. Anyway, she worked in like the social community care worker or some shit. Anyway, she's a proper grafter, shall we say. And the boss thing about it is, she sounds like her. She sounds like she's a grafter. There's no P's and Q's with her. And when she said the Tories are scummy cunts, that made me laugh, because they are. And then she had to apologise because she said she fucking hates the Tories. Imagine that. Imagine saying you hate the Tories and then having to apologise for that. That's like me saying I like Evertonians. Not a chance.
Jenny, to Jess Barnard saying that it's undemocratic what Keir Starmer has done in terms of saying he can't stand as a Labour candidate.
Well, he can't. Of course he can't, because he refused to apologise for his reaction to the EHRC report.
And that was the Equalities and Human Rights Commission.
That is what this all comes back to. And Jeremy Corbyn, I'm afraid, is a figure in Labour's past now, but he is not going to be a part of Labour's future. We are a serious party who wants to form a government, and you cannot have Keir Starmer as leader being in any way relaxed about some of the things that Jeremy Corbyn himself has failed to say. He wouldn't even, there was some sort of Facebook post he'd done about the EHRC report. He wouldn't even see his way to removing it. There are things like that really, I just think you have to have, yes, there's internal party democracy, of course, that's very important, but you have to have a standard of integrity and credibility to be able to be a Labour MP. It's a hugely privileged position, and you're representing your community in the party on the national stage, and you cannot allow Jeremy Corbyn now to fulfil that role. And I think Keir Starmer's absolutely right to be clear about that.
Jess?
Well, I mean, to quote Keir Starmer himself on this, when he stood to be leader of the Labour Party, he said, "I want to pay tribute to Jeremy Corbyn, who led our party through some really difficult times, who energised our movement, and who was a friend as well as a colleague." Those were his own words about Jeremy Corbyn. And I think the problem with this is that this is a move from Keir Starmer and his leadership to say that there is no space for disagreement in the Labour Party. There's no space for people who want to champion the policies we stand for, like public ownership, wealth taxes, championing anti-racism. All of these things, there seems to be no space for discussion in. And we're seeing people, not just Jeremy actually, we're seeing a lot of people blocked from standing to be Labour candidates because they have.
You have to understand how politics works. Oh, she's so, you know what? I like this girl, whoever she is. She's so sweet and naive. Oh my god, I just dropped my spliff, you twat. Anyway, she's so. I literally just dropped my spliff. Fuck, goddammit. Anywho, well, I'll try and rescue me joint. Anyway, this lady is so sweet. Jeremy Corbyn, if you look at Jeremy Corbyn, his popularity was fine, right? Until the newspapers decided this man is not going to be Prime Minister at all. And there's only two ways you do that in a xenophobic country like Great Britain. Call him a fucking Jew hater or a fucking Russian. Because a lot of people forget that we had this weird fella. I don't even remember him. His name was fucking Ed Miliband. Anybody remember Ed Miliband? Our little buddy there. You know what they called him in the papers? Red Ed. They literally accused Red Ed's dad of being a fucking Soviet spy. Mr. Ed Miliband, of all people. Literally. And you know the mad thing is, if you listen to Ed Miliband's podcast, which I'm pretty sure you haven't, but I have, but right, he said when Jeremy Corbyn took over the party and shit, he felt like, wow, actually, what I was doing was very neoliberal, and now he's actually agreeing with Jeremy Corbyn. Can you believe that? And the same people, like this bitch here, who was in Jeremy Corbyn's cabinet, by the way, this cunt, who was in the back of a taxi, who won her election because she was going to get voted out. This is mad. She was literally going to get voted out of her actual seat, and the only reason why she's an MP is because of Jeremy Corbyn. The fucking funny part of all of this is they're only MPs because of him. And they say, well, we lost the last one. That had nothing to do with Jeremy Corbyn at all. Jeremy Corbyn lost because, one, you literally made, well, not you, but people like you, that bitch there, make the Labour Party impossible to vote for. Impossible. Like, you can't vote for the Labour Party if you're gonna have a referendum after Brexit, or even say that you don't agree. Now he's changed his mind. The very person who literally sabotaged the Labour Party. When if you ask Jeremy Corbyn his actual point on the EU, He was the same as Tony Benn, which is just a bad fucking idea. Not because we don't like Europeans. Don't be stupid. We are Europeans. But the entire concept of the EU was made in its very conception to go against the United States of America as a trading bloc. And if you don't know the basics of that shit, then you must be stupid anyway. Britain got broke and finally decided, well, if you can't beat them, join them. So we did. It's called the ERM, and it cost a bunch of fucking money when we did. Right. Fucking 40 years later or some shit. Great idea. Let's ask Britain if it wants to leave the very thing that they'll never ask to join, which is the European Union. Not the same thing. When we joined the Economic Trading Zone of Europe, that was it. We voted to join that. You can look at it right there, black and white. But did we ever vote to join the European Union? No, we didn't. At all. And for years and years and years, the newspapers had fucking a field day. Everything from bendy fucking bananas to fucking Germany beat us in a fucking World Cup or some shit. And then these prats decide, shall we ask Britain to stay in or leave? Destroyed the country right there. I should know. I voted for it too because I just thought it was funny. But anyway, destroyed the country. And for what reason? Politics. So why would you think Keir Starmer wouldn't throw fucking Babyface, who fucking has an allotment, under a bus? Because he will. And he wants to win. I want him to win. That sounds like a hypocrite, doesn't it? But I want him to win. I want Keir Starmer to be the next Prime Minister. I can't take it if we have another Tory Prime Minister. That's just a piss take. I can't. I would rather have him, even though I've just told you I hate this fucking cunt for a million other reasons. I still want him to be Prime Minister. Because I don't have to worry about Jeremy Corbyn. Because he'll always vote with Labour anyway. And he'll still be a backbencher. And he'll still be talking about politics like he normally does. And I think the biggest mistake that Labour's going to make is not capitalising on the strikes. I think that's going to be the Achilles heel in the next election. They are not saying we're with the strikers. They waffle like Tories, but they don't get on the picket line. I like that. I don't know what her name is. Zara Sultana, I think her name is. She's a young MP. She's like Indian or something. Not too sure. Sorry, Mrs. MP person. Anyway, she's cool. She swears. I like MPs who swear. I seen her at a rally, not in person, clearly, on YouTube. And she's a fucking Tory. I was like, you get my vote already. People like that I want to vote for. Who swear. Cuss. She'll be a good Labour leader. Okay, can I just go back? This is a mad tangent, but I'm going to go back anyway, a long time ago. If Harry Harman would have run to be the Labour leader against Ed Miliband and his brother, she would have won that election. Fact. She's the mother of the house, I think, at the moment. I'm not quite sure. I don't see that much anymore. But Harry Harman, she was actually and Jackie fucking face. She'd actually be a good fucking. She would have been a good Labour leader. Jackie Smith, she was alright. I think she was Home Secretary at one point. But Harry Harman, she was a Blair babe. I think. I hope. I hope I'm right. Anyway, she was a Blair babe. She definitely would have won that election. And everyone was asking, like, why don't you stand to be like the leader of Labour? She's like, nah, not asked. She would have beat David Cameron for a fucking. I know that for a fact. If she would have stood, she would have beat David Cameron. Instead, we got fucking Ed Miliband. Pious little twat that he is.
Have taken different positions to Keir Starmer, and that's not an acceptable situation to find ourselves in as a party. If we want to bring forward the best, best candidates, local talent, and make.
Sorry, I just seen someone type there. I did like Angelina, but she's more recently been going along. I think she's just, well, I don't think she wants to get the sack. Because if you remember, right, he tried to sack Angela Rayner. If you remember, he tried to sack Angela Rayner as Deputy Prime Minister, or whatever. Deputy Leader, I should say. And the members were like, no, not a chance. So that's mad, isn't it? Like, he's tried to sack everybody. Angela Rayner is the left of the party, and she's Deputy Leader. So that's a good thing. And she likes Jeremy Corbyn. So all is not lost in the land of the left. Just saying, guys. Just saying.
Make sure that we protect, local democracy and keep people's faith in the Labour Party, then those, we need to be challenging Keir on his practice here.
Raphael?
Yeah, I mean, there's some different things being conflated here, aren't there? Because, there's no... you can be a backbench Labour MP and say all sorts of things that are very, very left-wing on economic terms. You could call for nationalising the internet. You could call for, pretty much anything short of Bolshevik revolution to overthrow the government and anti-Semitism, right? These are the things. There are limits, right? So if you want to say stopping Jeremy Corbyn from running as an MP, as a Labour MP, is about sort of denying pluralism on the left, that's a very peculiar place for the Labour left to want to be, because what they're really saying is, in order to have pluralism on the left, you've got to tolerate a bit of anti-Semitism. You've got to allow that there's going to be some anti-Semitism in the mix because Jeremy's too important. I would strongly advise the left of the Labour Party to not take that position.
Well, like the Tories when they got accused for the exact same thing, but about being a bunch of Islamophobes. You never hear about that though, do you? You never hear about the Tories being massive Islamophobes. No, you never hear that shit. It's just, oh, the Jews. See, now I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's a fact. Like, I can literally tell you this a fact because I stream politics. Like, the amount of times I've heard Jeremy Corbyn and anti-Semitism and Tory with I was going to say homophobia. Most of the Tories are homos. Anyway, point being is, I've never heard as much claptrap in terms of like one versus the other. The Tory party have been accused by their own independent body of being Islamophobic. Didn't didn't one of their actual MPs resign, who is now sitting in the House of Lords? You don't hear very much now, do you? Huh? That's mad, isn't it? But yeah, let's keep banging on about Jeremy fucking Corbyn every day. Where's the Tory ministers who were Islamophobic, who got fired?
Because
for being fucking Islamophobic. Like, it's mad, innit? If you watch our TV, you would think Jeremy Corbyn's the only fucking country who exists in our reality. Mad, innit? Yeah, didn't happen. You know, Zawi, whatever the name is, she's a house in the House of Lords now. Zawi, I can't say her name. She's probably gonna like fucking get mad at me at Twitter or some shit because she found my random video on YouTube. Oh, anyway, I don't know if she's Pakistani or Indian, so I do apologize. But anyway, she's a peer in the House of Lords, and she's a Tory, and she literally was like, yeah, the Tory party is homophobic. I keep saying homophobic, fuck's sake. God damn it, I don't know why. It's fucking Islamophobic. Fuck's sake. Sorry. She kept saying it's Islamophobic, but you don't hear that anymore on the news. But we always hear Jeremy Corbyn and fucking Jews. Like, aren't you both the same? Like, if you're a fucking racist, aren't you just a fucking racist at this point? Like, I didn't know there was a difference. I didn't know there's a different level of being racist. I just thought you were a fucking racist. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't like one person for a stupid reason, and you say, well, they're equally stupid, or whatever, aren't you both racist then? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't get it. But if you listen to our news, you'd think, like, Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party is full of a bunch of, like, I don't know. Am I supposed to say Palestinians? That make me a racist as well. If I say they're all a bunch of Palestinians. Oh, makes no sense. I just feel like when I stream this shit, it's like Monty Python all the time. It's like an episode of Monty Python. It's always the same garbage of mad shit that doesn't make any sense to like anybody who's paying attention. You'd be like, the news is mad, But if you watch the news and you don't pay attention, you're like, yeah, what he's saying actually makes sense. When it fucking doesn't. If you watch the news properly. And this is why I stream it. Even though today has been a weird day because I normally never talk over my videos, as you well know. But today I thought, balls deep, commentary 101. You can join me having a fucking ramble while I get stoned. And I will tell you what I think when I watch this shit. Because this is the way I feel normally when I watch it, even though I never talk. I just think, wow, that's mad, that's mad, that's mad, constantly. Because they always talk rubbish. Most of the time on this program, they talk rubbish. In fact, most news programs talk rubbish. Has anybody seen the latest with Fox News? That shit's hilarious. Like, you got Sean Hannity, that other little crispy looking cunt, what's his name? Tucker Carlson, uh, um, the Judge Judy fucking cunt, the Spanish lady, whatever fucking name is, Shapiro, not him, or him, times two. Anyway, they were found in legal documents, literally in text, to say everything Donald Trump was saying was fucking stupid and crazy when he said he won the election. They're like, these guys are batshit crazy. And then when they went on air, they were saying, oh, yeah, fraud. Oh, Donald Trump won the election. It's crazy the way these fucking crazy people are thinking. Fraud. Bro, it's funny when you get sued in it by the company who you had on your TV show. Like they were saying Dominion, the people who own the mad boxes in America that they did the voting for, they were like, yeah, that's some Venezuelan company, and they flipped the votes to Joe Biden. Dominion's like, no, we didn't, and like, oh, you did because Rudy Giuliani said so, and Dominion's like, we're gonna sue you for 2 billion quid. Now you're getting sued, and that's only one company. They're getting sued by two companies, Fox News, Fair and Balanced. Right. Yeah. It's as fair and balanced as the BBC. It really is. And this is the weird thing. People always go, "Oh, the BBC's it's British, so therefore it's not propaganda." Are you taking the piss? Who pays for the BBC, ladies and gentlemen? The government does, with our money. Who elects the BBC chairman, in case you haven't been reading the news lately? Who appoints the chairman of the BBC? The fucking government. I'm just saying, like, it's terrible, and I do mean terrible, as fucking Mr. Murdoch is. He doesn't get appointed by the government, even though he sometimes appoints the government, which is another story altogether. That's another story altogether. Yes, this media landscape in Britain is pretty shit. I mean, you got like two choices. You can like watch the Times, watch the news, BBC, go on the Guardian, which is full of fucking muppets anyway. I mean, all newspapers are pretty shit. Like the vast majority are crap. Are not very informative. Like it's very rare we have investigative journalism, and when we do, and this is the shit thing, when we actually do have crackers, like the Panama Papers or Edward Snowden, maybe even I don't know. What's that fucking Assange, Julian Assange? When you actually get good shit, the public don't even care anyway. Like, what the fuck? They don't even care. It's bizarre. Too busy watching Strictly Come Dancing or that twat in a fucking jungle. What's his name? Matt fucking Hancock. I remember the good old days when people used to throw eggs at politicians. Now they just get fucking hired. What's that fucking stupid cunt's name? Who's the Home Secretary? Braverman is her name. That mad Indian lady who dreams of deporting people to fucking Kenya. Rwanda, not even Kenya. Rwanda. She dreams about deporting people. Have you ever dreamt about deporting somebody? Like, my dreams are pretty strange, I will admit. But I've never literally had a dream about deporting somebody from a country. Imagine saying that. and having a straight face. I dream of deporting people. I go to sleep dreaming of deporting people. I don't even think Hitler came up with some stupid shit like that, to be honest with you.
Ultimately, Jeremy Corbyn was the leader of the party at a time when it became infested with anti-Jewish racism. He essentially, through the things he said, through the things he did, through the things he failed to repudiate, he was essentially a magnet for anti-Semitism. He was the permission for anti.
Good joke. Jeremy Corbyn was elected when Israel was bombing this weird place called Palestine into rubble. I know that. Do you know why? Because I streamed it. Literally. And the BBC was the only corporation to not actually tell you what the actual name of the fucking thing was called. Which is pretty amazing. And the BBC, in its defense, said it didn't want to come across as anti-Semitic. That was its defense. Every other single news corporation literally called it Pillar of Cloud, which is the operation in Palestine, by the way, in case you forgot. The BBC called it something completely different. Completely different. And you know why? Because Pillar of Cloud, which is hilarious, is literally a passage in the book that Jewish people read. That's why the BBC didn't want to be Jewish. It couldn't literally tell you that the actual military operational name was from Turret, what the fuck it's called. I can't remember the stupid name anyway. The fucking Jewish book. I forgot what it's called, can't remember. But anyway, it's called Pillar of Cloud. That was the operation against the Palestinians when Jeremy Corbyn was elected. So they equate Jeremy Corbyn with Palestinians at the same time as when actually most of the world were kind of like anti-Jewish at that point. Everybody was like, stop war or whatever with Palestine. And the BBC literally was the only corporation that said it wasn't called Pillar of Cloud. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, every other news organization you can mention literally said, it's Pillar of Cloud. BBC, nope, it's not called that shit whatsoever. It's not. They literally put it in big black letters, not Pillar of Cloud. It's not that. Because it's from a Bible. The Torah, there we go. It's literally in the Torah. But hey, when the BBC got called out on it, excuse, we're not racist.
Anti-Semitism. And as
okay.
I say, if Momentum and the Labour left want to say, no, but he's too precious to our movement, and we have to forgive him for all of that, and we have to honour him despite his failures.
This guy's a Jewish guy, by the way. In case you're thinking, why is he so, like, angry? He literally is Jewish. Probably be pissed if he's Jewish, Emma.
To even understand the basic issue, then they're committing themselves to total marginalisation and irrelevance in British politics.
Jess?
That's just an absolutely outrageous allegation. And as I...
Yeah, like saying Ed Miliband is a Russian. But his dad's a Russian spy. Hey, if you tell enough lies, people believe that shit, right? If you say it enough, you can convince enough fucking idiots that that's the truth. Thank you, Kay. Yes, Torah. Is this in the Torah? Thank you. Anywho, this guy's a crackhead. And she's also a crackhead, though, because she's equally stupid. Because Jeremy Corbyn is a nice person, but he's a shitty leader. He was never going to be Prime Minister. I've had this debate with my friends in Discord. In case you don't know, I do have a Discord. Politics, same thing. Talked about it. Do I like Jeremy Corbyn in terms of like what I think he believes in? Ideology, like what I think his passion is in terms of like workers' rights. Yes, right. I like Jeremy Corbyn. Would I like him to be the leader of the country? Not a chance. No. I don't think he's got the kahunas to be Prime Minister. Sadly. You know, sadly. I think he's a nice person though, but she's cracking head. Dirty mind over there, Kay. Just saying. Just saying. Dirty mind. Anyway, yeah, she's a crackhead too though. Or crackhead as dirty mind.
As I said,
Well, what's the
Jeremy
allegation?
Corbyn,
What's the allegation?
that Jeremy Corbyn is a magnet for anti-Semitism and that we're permitting anti-Semitism in the party by allowing Jeremy
remember
to
that
stand.
you were
That's completely untrue.
But just
that is completely untrue.
hang on,
but let me...
Well, I will let you answer. But just to answer, the Equality and Human Rights Commission did find that Labour had.
Yeah, the Equality Commission also said that the British police service is racially fucking corrupt from top to bottom. I don't see any changes in the police force. I mean, how many commissions you need that tell you like fucking weird shit? No one cares anyway. Is Jeremy Corbyn a threat to the Labour Party? Is he a threat to the great British public because he has some stupid ideas about Palestine? Not a chance. No, he isn't. If he was Prime Minister, yeah, I'll agree with that. But he's never been Prime Minister. Well, you could have said, well, what if he was? Okay. What if we wouldn't have had Tories for 13 years? What then? I mean, you're asking me hypotheticals about fucking Jeremy Corbyn. Fine. He's a muppet. Let's agree he's a muppet. Can I ask you one question? Who's the worst Prime Minister you've ever had in your living memory? I'm just going to ask you that question. And I bet you it's not Jeremy Corbyn. I'm just saying. People literally forget we had a Prime Minister by the name of Liz Truss. You know why you forgot? Because she didn't last 45 fucking goddamn days. In fact, she did. which is terrifying. But she did. 45 days. That is the stupidest Prime Minister we've ever had. And she was a Tory. Jeremy Corbyn was never the Prime Minister of our country. You don't have to like him, but he was never Prime Minister. And even if he was Prime Minister, I don't honestly think he could have fucked it up. In fact, I bet my fucking life he wouldn't have fucked up this country as much as Liz Truss did. No jokes. Liz Truss broke the pound in one day. One day, broke its back. The great British pound, dead. You're telling me Jeremy Corbyn, with his left-wing radical policies, which is paying people more money to go to work, was going to crash the economy? I don't think so. I don't care what newspaper you read or what TV show you fucking think you fucking are watching. But no way, on God's green earth, Jeremy Corbyn would have fucking fucked that shit up. Don't care. What was he going to do? Invade Israel? I don't think so. Get rid of the nuclear weapons? Don't think so. All the shit that they said Jeremy Corbyn would do would be impossible. Impossible. Okay, he has an opinion about the Middle East. You know what? So do I. I think we should nuke the Middle East and get rid of them all. Whiny little bastards. But then again, apparently I'm a racist. Take your pick. Which side am I racist against? I just said bomb both of them. So I'm equally racist. I'm fair in that regards. Bomb the fuck out of them. Don't care. Go away. Right. And you want to whinge about Jeremy Corbyn? Fuck off. How much you pay on your mortgage? Is that Jeremy Corbyn's fault? No. Like Liz Truss literally broke the British economy. In one day. One day. We'll fix it after we broke it. Okay, keep going. Like, this is the scenario we find ourselves in Britain. We elected the people who broke the economy, and then we can't get rid of them, and they're like, we'll fix it. Didn't you just break it though? Yeah, but we're gonna fix it. We've changed our political direction. I don't think you changed at all. I think you're still a bunch of slimy cunts. You want to give fucking... You see, the thing is, she did one classic mistake. She showed her hand straight away. Just like, oh, I'm definitely for the rich. Everyone's like, whoa. Even the stock market was like, you got some balls, lady. You got some balls. You're gonna literally give billions to all the rich people who clearly don't want it because we don't want it. You're gonna make us look bad, first of all. And then they're like, and how you plan on paying for that shit? With my money? What? So wait, you're gonna give me a tax break and then expect me to pay for it? That makes no sense. That's what the Tories try to do. In case you don't know basic economics, what the Tories try to do was give tax breaks to the rich and then tell the rich they're gonna pay it back in tax by borrowing their own fucking money. We're going to borrow rich people's money and give it back in a tax break. And the rich people are like, that's the stupidest scam I've ever heard in my life. That sounds like a Ponzi scheme, because it is one. But then you hear Tories all the time saying to Labour people, you can't tax your way out of recession. Pretty sure you fucking tried though, innit? Like giving tax to rich people who already are rich. Tax is a very subjective word when it comes to Tories, apparently, because tax to them means lower taxes for rich people, and when it's in context of Labour, it means taxes for everybody, which is also not true at all. You're gonna put up taxes? Yes, we are. On who? The fucking rich. I wish the Tories would just like ask a question and somebody in Labour would just answer the fucking question the way I just said it. Are you going to put up taxes? Yes, we are. On who? The rich. It's not the hard. Why don't they just say that? It'd be a lot easier than people watching BBC thinking Labour are useless, which, to be fair, the vast majority of people in Britain think they are actually fucking useless. That's the problem. But then, the only time British people vote in an election that actually matters is when it actually matters. And the last time was Brexit. So the next time it actually matters is when we kick out the Tories. So I'm quite comfortable anyway at this point with Keir Starmer. I don't like him. Never have. I think he's an arse licker and a neoliberal. I would like Jeremy Corbyn more to be Prime Minister, but it's just shite, isn't it? If you could have anybody as Prime Minister, I want to know this in the comments section if you ever come across this crazy video. Who would you like to be as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom? If you had a choice, doesn't matter what party they're from. But if you could have someone steering the ship of our little lovely island, who would it be? And no, they can't be dead. You have to be in the House of Parliament, which makes things a lot harder when you think about it, because there's not many people in there that you would vote for. Just saying, most of them are shit. I would go. Yeah. Am I gonna renege on my? No, I'll stick with Angela Rayner. I would like Angela Rayner to be the PM. Fuck knows who she's gonna have around it, but I'd like Angela Rayner as PM. I think she seems a bit like common, not too smart, not too much of a tit. Though to be fair, given enough time, she'll get there. So Angela Rayner, or curveball, that lovely lady Zara Sultana. I hope I said that right. I think her name's Zara Sultana. I think I mean, yeah, the little girl, she's a woman. Sorry, that woman, she's an MP. I don't know what constituency she represents though, but she's good. I like her because she's been on the picket line. I've seen her with Mick Smith, or whatever her name is. Yanis Varoufakis, he's Greek. That's to be in the House of Parliament. Jordan Peterson, oh fuck them too. I don't want them as prime ministers. We love fucking Tim Woke or some shit. Fuck that. I don't like Yanis Varoufakis for two reasons. Well, it's the same reason, but two. He said Brexit's a bad idea, and then he said Brexit's a good idea. Like, make your fucking mind up. That's why I don't like him. He says, like, I always knew Brexit was a stupid idea, and I voted for it. Just pointing out the obvious. Like, people are like, why would you vote for shit that you know it's broken? Because it's fucking one, hilarious, and two, why'd you ask me in the first place? What are you asking me for? You already know the answer to your fucking question, so why are you asking? This is the strangest thing about Brexit. Like, how did you not know that was going to happen? How are you on? How much are MPs on? I don't know, 80 grand a year, and their little fucking minions, maybe 20, probably more than 20 grand a year. Anyway, little minions who run around called AIDS or whatever. Okay, funny, AIDS, ha ha ha. Sorry, my joke. Point being is, again, these fuckers run around saying, oh yeah, no, everyone's gonna vote yes. Really? Do you not live in Britain? You know when you say there's a divide between Westminster and the rest of the... Yes, that is so true. Because clearly these fuckers haven't got a clue. How do you think Nigel Farage got popular? I don't know. It's not like he's a good looking fella, is he? He looks like a tail. He was popular. And then the Tories got shit scared of him and voted Brexit. I'm like, oh my god. Sorry, didn't vote Brexit. They said, let's have a bright idea. Let's put Brexit on the table. I was like, this is the cheapest shit as ever. Like, really? Are you doing this, David Cameron? Are you literally doing this? Are you literally doing this shit right now? Good, because I'm voting to leave just to see what happens next. Funny shit. Then I watch YouTube videos now. Brexit's gone to shit. Yeah, clearly it would. You just left a trading block, you stupid twat. What do you think's gonna happen next? Well, we got loads of migrants. We had them anyway. We can't send them back. We never did anyway. In case you don't notice, we live on an island. We need migrants. Like I said before, pensions. We need people in the United Kingdom. Unless you're gonna have babies. We don't make enough kids in Britain. We're an aging population, which means nobody's paying any pensions. We need them monies. We need to fucking... We should give them fucking boats to come here. And people go, we're getting invaded. No, we're not. 87% of fucking Britain's white. We're not getting invaded, you dozy bastards. And most of us invaded Britain way before Britain was even Britain.
Been responsible.
Yeah, I'm talking to you Vikings, just so you know.
For unlawful acts of harassment and discrimination against Jewish people.
I'm not disputing that.
Right.
And I want to be really clear, one anti-Semite in the party is too many. It has no place in the Labour Party, and we need to be taking the issue incredibly seriously. But that also means listening to the Ford report, which was commissioned by Keir Starmer on this issue, and that included warnings of the instrumentalisation of anti-Semitism for factional ends. And that's something we also have to take into account. We need a hugely strong stance on anti-Semitism, and it also needs to be, you know, we need to have a strong stance on all forms of anti-racism. And that's absolutely not being disputed here, but I absolutely do dispute, you know, the comments that were just made. And let me be really clear: Jeremy Corbyn is not under investigation for anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. He has not been suspended as a member. If he was, then he would be suspended and kicked out of the Labour Party for that. But he hasn't been. All that has happened is he's had the whip removed, which is a political move by Keir Starmer.
All right, Jess Barnard, thank you.
Yes, but then, duh. Ed Miliband's a Russian spy. Shut up. I read it in the Telegraph. It said Red Ed. So that means he's a Russian, right? Ed Miliband is a Russian because you put Red and Ed in the same fucking weird thing. And if you make it big, that means he's a Russian. Right? Red Ed, he's a Russian. Oh, well, he's not. No. Jeremy Corbyn is anti-Semitic. Did you even read that word Semitic in a dictionary? Did you read the word Semitic in a dictionary? Anybody? Has anybody ever read the word Semitic? Do you know what it means? Fucking language. It doesn't mean you're Jewish. But a lot of people think it means you're Jewish though, because you just put the word anti-Semitic and everybody thinks, oh, you're racist against Jews. Pretty sure you need to read the dictionary, pal.
Thank you very much for joining us. Jeremy Corbyn, as you will have noticed, is not here on the panel, but...
To defend himself. But, there's a but.
We interviewed him. I interviewed him a few weeks ago on Politics Live about strikes and his position within the Labour Party. And you can watch this alongside other past episodes of...
Oh, for fuck's sake. He's not even going to show us what he's saying. You've got to click on another thing to get to the actual information. That's a fucking... What a shit programme.
Politics Live on BBC iPlayer now.
Okay, I'm fucking going to click it. Not.
That's all we have time for from our...
Wow, that's great, isn't it? That's all we have time for, folks. Me talking shit over a programme that has mostly been full of shit. If you were expecting Politics Lives, I do apologise. I just happened to have this mad idea of giving commentary because I haven't done it in so long. And I feel good doing it. Because people watch these programmes and it's baffling to think that people believe that shit. Or this shit. Whatever shit she talks about. Well, hey, that's the news for you, isn't it? Now you know why I stream politics. It's not because I actually watch it. I critique it. You just can't hear me. The vast majority of the times. I'm literally shouting at my computer while I stream this shit. As you can probably tell. While smoking a spliff. I'm so exhausted. All that talking made me tired. I feel sorry for anybody who watched this and was like, this is not what I expect from you, Mr. Stiles, or you're normally a very pleasant man who just plays the videos and never speaks. I'm sorry, I let you down. I promise tomorrow you'll get the full episode and I won't say a peep. Promise. But for now, you're fucked. Because I'm going balls deep on these bitches. I wish. It is funny though, like news, you know, like how we're fed it, kind of thing. People always ask me like, well, how do you understand politics? I watch all the news, so I have to watch shit that I don't like. To be honest with you, I watch Fox News, C-SPAN, MSNBC, CNN. I watch all this shit, and it's very tiring, to say the least. But I do get a better perspective on like issues, shall we say. Like if you watch German news, it's totally different than English news or French news. But what you need to do, right, you need to find a topic that's trending around the world to find out how interesting news is. Like if you look at certain news cycles, like Joe Biden's speech or some shit like that, right? You can get the commentary on what that speech means, what's the implications. Rishi Sunak, for instance, when he was saying shit about like Ukraine or whatever. Like if you watch certain news programs, you can see like they have a certain bias. Not I don't think it's well, it is intentional, I suppose, because they have editors. But it's mad to see like how certain people phrase certain shit. Especially with Brexit, that was a good one. Brexit was so interesting to watch like Europeans talk about Britain. So mad. So I would say Brexit would be a good example of like how to understand the news. Because mostly it's full of shit. And that's the hardest bit is you need to sit back, you need to watch the news and just be like okay, I'm not gonna say it's not facts because I don't wanna go down that rabbit hole, but I would say is listen and understand that at the end of these shows they have producers and editors. They have them in movies as well. So the news, like these shows are scripted. And so is the news. Like people think the news is on for 24 hours. It isn't. It looks like that though. But the people who are giving you the news, they work for like 2 hours, 3 hours maybe. And then they only come back when there's breaking news kind of thing. Like, okay, some of them work longer hours, but what I'm saying is normally You can watch it on maybe. No, you can't. Anyway, when I used to stream my old shit, you could literally see that the BBC would record a person and then would only do breaking news and they look completely different. So they record it and just play the same shit over and over and over again until there's like breaking news. And then they'd go like, hey, you need to get behind the camera quick. But people think the news is 24/7. It's not. It just isn't. But you get the idea that it is. That's because it's recorded. Like Question Time isn't live. It's recorded on a Wednesday, day before, and then it's aired on a Thursday. It's recorded the day before normally, or in the daytime, or some shit. And they always say on Question Time, this is a representative of the audience, and these are the most questions that people asked, which is also a lie. That's complete bullshit. We know it's bullshit, because me and my friend, Pablet, I don't even know Pablet, but he's normally around. He's trying to get in with some oligarchs. He's a kid, God bless him. Anyway, me and him found that Question Time is a completely different thing than what it's not even commissioned. Well, it is commissioned by the BBC, but it's run by a different company who literally have nothing to do technically with the BBC when it comes to picking the audience, which is mad. Like the BBC tells you we pick the audience. No, they don't. That's a lie. That's 100% not true. And if you watch the beginning of when I post Question Time, I always get copyright strike because of the company who copyright strike me. This is how I know this stuff, right? Because when I used to stream Question Time, there's a copyright strike my channel for the fucking intro. The same media company that does the very beginning of Question Time, they pick the audience, not the BBC. And we found this shit out on the internet. It was mad. Because I was like, who keeps copyrighting striking my fucking goddamn channel? Question Time kept doing it over and over again every week. Thursday, same thing. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? That motherfucking goddamn company is the ones who pick the fucking audience, not the BBC. So when Fiona Bruce says, we picked them, no they didn't. Bullshit. Complete lies. They don't. The media company that the BBC hires picks them. And I forgot his name, it's some mad name. But it ain't the BBC, put it that way. The BBC pays them. That's fucking true. But they don't. The BBC don't do shit. They pay Fiona Bruce. That's about it. But yeah, you don't pick the audience. That's bollocks. The BBC picks the audience. No, lies. Lies, 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 lies. And people get mad when you say like this fucking idiot on Question Time. Yeah, I wonder why. Like, do you remember the other week when I played Question Time? And it had that dude on it at the end, and he said, I'm a vicar and I'm woke. I was like, oh, you gotta be shitting me. A vicar who's like complaining about being woke. I was like, this motherfucker doesn't want to be what's it? Enlightened. He doesn't want to be woke. Like back in the day, if you was woke, you'd definitely be a fucking Christian at this point, innit? The enlightenment and shit. Having a laugh. And a panelist, I don't know his name. He knew the guy because it was his fucking vicar. How mad's that? Random. I don't think so. And to be fair, I'm not the only one who've noticed mad shit on the BBC. People notice it all the time. Weird shit. Like I was saying, the weird shit with Israel. Like, why would you not call it Pillar of Cloud when that's the actual name for the fucking military fucking thing? Well, we didn't want to come across as anti-Semitic. But you're the only one who hid it. Nobody else on any other TV network who produced the news called it something else. You did. Why is that? Why would you literally fucking implicitly, like, this is not a joke, you would have to literally fucking do that on purpose to go out your way to to hide the name of a war. Why would you do that? And then your defense is, well, we don't want to come across as anti-Semitic. Yet you're the only corporation that hit the name. I think you're the weirdos at this point. CNN, Fox News, for fuck's sake, told the truth. Every other corporation that I watched literally said, "Hey, Israel's invading Palestine, pillar of cloud," or whatever the fuck it was called, pillar of cloud. BBC's like, nah, it's called some other mad shit. It's called what? Operation Freedom. Really? Now you sound like fucking RT Today or some shit. Aren't Russians doing that right now in Russia? Operation Freedom or whatever the fuck it's called. Isn't that what the Russians called invading Ukraine? The fuck they call it? Incursion? I don't know, because that's some fucking stupid shit. And everyone just started laughing. Like, what was that guy's name? Chemical Ali? Not the stupid guy who was on the telly on Iraq. Oh, we're not getting invaded. And literally the fucking tanks are going past them. We're not getting... No one's invading Iraq, we're fine. It's like, fucking America and like everybody else, well, in the stupid alliance, literally blowing the fuck out of Iraq. And he's standing there going, nope, we're fine. No one's invading. Like, everyone laughed at that guy, right? And was like, you're fucking mental. You are a stupid cunt. And took the piss. Bit like the BBC. The only corporation to be like, no, this is not happening. It's not called Pillar of Cloud. It's called Operation Freedom. It's like, hang on a minute. Fair and balanced. Now you sound like Fox News, motherfucker. I think the problem is as well, is that people think that because we're English, we're somehow like superior because we're English. We are not capable of being unsophisticated or some shit. I don't know. I don't know. It's like this false bullshittery of fucking being English. We're like, oh, we wouldn't do that. No, we wouldn't do such things. We're sportsmen, like. Fuck off. Are you having a laugh? We're the only stupid country that's fucking paid to watch this shit. I'm glad I get to stream it for you guys for free normally, right? So not to pay. Sadly, I pay, but at least I give it to you for free, and everybody fucking else who watches it. So you don't agree with my position, to be fair, on any subject that I've raised, but we still have to pay for this garbage. It's fucking hilarious, isn't it? Paying. I would happily give my taxes, which I spend on the BBC, to, I don't know, a food bank or nurses, rail teachers, anybody other than the BBC. If you asked me in the next general election, do I want to scrap the BBC, and with the taxes that I pay, can I keep them taxes that we force you to pay anyway? And we'll give it to nurses or somebody. Yes. As long as I don't have to pay for the BBC anymore. By law. If I want to watch Doctor Who, can't I just Netflix the shit out of that shit? Like, I'll pay you a tenner and then not pay you a tenner. The BBC would probably make more money if it was subscription. Anyway, it probably literally makes more money. The amount of people who like drama and cooking shows, which to be fair, the BBC are very good at. Dramas, comedy, Doctor Who. Okay, not Doctor Who so much recently, but yeah, Doctor Who. Just dramas, historical programs, gardening, cooking programs. You know, shit that the BBC are actually good at. They'd make a fuck ton of money. I'm just saying they would. Why do I have to pay all this money for fucking nothing? Because I never watch the BBC anyway, most of the time. Apart from when I'm streaming politics. Like, the only thing I actually watch the BBC for is literally the news. Which I critique, as you can tell. No, I don't watch shit. Apart from dramas, yeah, okay. But if you said to me, pay a tenner, you can watch, I don't know, what's that? What was the last thing I watched on BBC that was actually good? Shit. I'm trying to think of its actual name because I'm retarded. It was good, by the way. I'm not saying it was shit. It was good. I'm just trying to remember the dark particle thing. Oh fuck. Shit. His Dark Materials. There we go. That was actually good. That was actually good. That's it. That's the last thing I actually watched on the BBC. or Match of the Day. Classic, clearly. Gotta watch Match of the Day, honestly. Unless you're Liverpool, which hasn't happened a lot lately. We want to watch Match of the Day. We've won 2 games in 10 years, it feels like. We're pretty poor at the moment, so I don't get to watch Match of the Day. But yeah, Match of the Day probably would be one of them. But that's what I'm saying. You could pay for that though, right? And you could have everybody pay for it. You can't watch the BBC outside of the UK, which is stupid. Because I know a lot of people like stuff that the BBC make. Just charge them for it, bro. Yeah, give us £3 and you can watch Doctor Who. Do a Hulu, do a Netflix. They'd make more money instead of me paying you, you twats, for watching fucking goddamn politics. Fucking crackheads. I don't know. I'll roll a split. Will I smoke a split? Okay, I was going to say thank you for watching Politics Star today, but you didn't really watch it, did you? Just listen to me fucking whine. Mostly. I'll do you a favour. I'll re-upload it without me talking over the top of it. That's a nice gesture. If you hit the like button, I'll re-upload it. And you don't have to listen to me. And I'll be back tomorrow with more bullshit as usual. Well, I won't talk though, to be honest. I was just in the mood today. And a lot of people saying like, why don't you talk anymore? Pretty sure that's enough for 1 year. I hope. Anyway. I'm going to shut up now, smoking spliff. Have a nice day. And don't listen to me.